What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the wide world of electronic sports, episode 132. I'm your commentary friend, Rod, and I'm accompanied by two phenomenal gentlemen. My main man, Bryan Lefler. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing so good. Thank you so much. Excited to talk esports. Sad I missed an episode, but I wasn't feeling very well, but I'm super glad to be back in the chair and back on the show today.
Hey, I'm glad you're feeling better. That's all that matters, man. And of course, last but certainly not least, the evilest of all the villains. He's ready to bring the doom. Danny Von Doom, talk to me, player. How are you feeling today?
Feeling great, you know. Getting the Monday kicked off with an awesome show and two awesome co-hosts here as well. So, yeah, feeling good. Plenty awesome news to cover.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about, man. So I think without further ado, we got to jump right into it because Doctor Strange isn't the only guy busting open the multiverse. We got a game coming to pretty much every damn system, man. Multiverses is here, and it is doing some damage right now in a good way. Friends, did we get a chance to see the trailer this morning?
Yes, it was amazing.
Yeah, that was just crazy. Danny, what did you think?
I mean, I only got to see the first half. I saved the other half for watching here. So, you know, I'm gonna see some of that live on the screen when air. But from what I saw, like, they're clearly putting in the production value, that's for sure, with this one.
Yes. This is giving me, like, remember when we were younger, you go to CartoonNetwork.com and you would play, you know, some of the characters and stuff, and they had, like, pretty much a game for every genre, every, like, type of, you know, whether it was, like, Toonami, you know, whether it was, like, cartoons, whatever the case was, like, they had something for every title. And this is giving me those types of vibes, which is huge nostalgia vibes because that's what I run off of here these days, okay? But, you know, when I watched this trailer, I thought, wow, there's a lot of storytelling in this trailer that, and I think there's more of it, you know, than meets the eye. The biggest one for me was right as the, you know, trailer kicked off, we got met with pretty much, like, the fan favorites of, you know, whatever genre this. I mean, it's a platform fighting genre, but I can't even really put this under one umbrella. Just the WB everything. You got here, Ultra Instinct Shaggy, Batman. I mean, who doesn't like Batman? It's the coolest guy out. Arya Stark from Game of Thrones, and of course, the mascot himself, Bugs Bunny. I was like, wow, this is like the cool kids popular table. But it was really the second duo that really spoke to me. So we got met with Tasmanian Devil and Harley Quinn. Two of the older school, you know what I'm saying, Cartoon Network, WB, DC, you know, intellectual properties. More of like that slapstick style, you know what I'm saying, comedic approach to things. But they're going against Jake the Dog from Adventure Time and Garnet from Steven Universe, kind of showcasing the new direction cartoons have kind of gone in, where it's more of like the dialogue that carries the cartoon episode as opposed to whacking somebody over the head with the mallet. I was like, this is cool. This is speaking to me. I don't know, though. I thought I was the only one that picked up on it.
No, you're not the only one. Like, they call it the official cinematic trailer, right? Mm-hmm. So they're obviously trying to bring that cinematic feel. It reminded me a lot of what Nintendo has been doing with Smash Brothers trailers. Mm-hmm. You know, Nintendo obviously has been known to bring the highest production value possible for their Smash trailers, weaving this kind of background lore to the whole thing to just give fans something more to chew on, you know? Yeah, I think it's really great. And I think this kind of just follows that kind, you know, just kind of following that same playbook here. And it's definitely a good one to follow. Like, if you're going to copy a platform fighter, obviously you copy the best.
Yeah.
Right.
I gotta agree. I mean, everything looks good here. Just the overall range of characters, like the amount of IP, you know, like just in this trailer, not even including any potential DLC is wild. You know, you got Iron Giant popping up here, like.
Yo, I'm gonna be real. This game feels like DLC the game, which is like it's not a shot, you know, because the game is already free. It's not a shot and not a dig, but like there's a certain feeling that you get when DLC comes out versus character announcements for the base roster. When I'm watching this trailer, I'm like, I didn't realize how much of an influence cartoon characters have on my life. Like, and this is, I guess, kind of strange coming from all of us. You know, we grew up with iconic video game characters like Mario, Luigi, Donkey Kong, Link, whatever. But I'm like, wow, I really did sit for hours on it and watch these guys bonk each other over the head before TikTok and Twitter and stuff existed. Like these characters were my Twitter. This was my Instagram. So I'm like, it's so cool to see them cross over. And I know they've crossed over in the past and, like, you know, I think Batman has met Scooby-Doo a couple times, and then of course Scooby-Doo, they've met Johnny Bravo and the Harlem
Scooby-Doo's met
Globetrotters.
everybody, yeah.
Yeah, they've met everybody, but it's nice to be able to play these characters and leaning into something a little bit different than something that, you know, some of the other platform fighters aren't giving us, which isn't, again, a shot at them at all. I think each one brings something a little bit different to the table, but this one's giving us, like, you know, it's doubles based, you know, combat, which they do. I would imagine they're probably working on like the singles version of this, and you know, maybe like crew battles and things as such, but doubles is their main focus, which is cool because that really helps lean into like the innovativeness behind each character, but also the voice acting, which is something that I think all platform fighters could do a lot better of. I know Smash has just kind of got hip with the program here these last so many years with their with World of Light. You know, they gave the characters voices, but I'm like, it's too late. It's too late. I hear Kevin Conroy Batman, and I'm sold.
Yeah, and we didn't even get into the big news from this cinematic trailer, that being the two characters unveiled, Iron Giant and Velma. Like, those are definitely big time. I mean, Velma being another Scooby-Doo character, but Iron Giant is hitting the right notes for a lot of people, myself included. Like, I'm right in that generation that grew up with that movie, you know, and like I just wonder, it makes me also think how the characters are going to work. Like, is he going to be like a larger than normal character, like you know, Ridley is in Smash?
Right.
Because obviously, like, if you look at him standing next to the ones, he's way bigger. So I'm assuming all these models are based in game, just like, you know, they do in Smash. So yeah, he's obviously way bigger. So that's going to be something interesting to think about as well.
No, 100%. You know, and I'm glad that you brought that up. They're kind of taking like that Ridley and Bowser approach, where like, you know, depending on, or even like Ganondorf too, like depending on the Legend of Zelda game, excuse me, you're playing. I mean, this guy could be 18 feet tall. He can be, you know, 8 foot tall. Very similar to like Darkseid. I mean, in DC lore, we've seen Darkseid be 20 feet tall. And then sometimes he's about, you know, a 7 foot, 8 foot tall dude. Still a lot of man, but, you know, very big. And I think that's what they kind of did here with him. And I love in the trailer too. I tweeted about this, but I'm going to go ahead and rehash it again for the people who didn't see it. The final duo in the trailer was two Men of Steel. Superman, of course, and the Iron Giant. Now, for those of us who don't know, because the Iron Giant is kind of like a deep-cut millennial classic, very similar to like, you know, James and the Giant Peach, you know, those one-off films that feel good, they hit the right notes, but not everybody knows about them. Yeah. In his final words before he detonated, because remember, in the city, he was, you know, catching the missile.
Spoiler, he was like anyone who hasn't seen Iron Giant, by the way.
That's right. It's about a 30-year spoiler here coming your way, friend. His final words were after the quote from Hogarth goes through his head of, you know, you can be anybody you want to be. He says Superman, and boom, explodes. That's what he wanted to be. And his first words coming back into Multiverses was Superman. And I was just like, oh, I'm not crying in this trailer. I'm not crying.
See, that kind of context, man, is strong stuff. Yeah. You know, like you can tie in those feelings from like early on of your game. You're gonna do some good work.
Well, that's the kind of reference that really shows a reverence for these characters, right? Like they're not just throwing them in there because they're like, oh well, you know who's popular with millennials, Iron Giant, blah blah blah. No, they're really like doing the devs are doing their homework on the characters and how they should be represented. Obviously, WB cares about that kind of thing. Whenever you have characters like these DC characters or these classic WB characters, there's a lot of conditions that go along with how you're allowed to represent them in whatever you're making. Yeah. That's supposedly what sunk. That's how Titus blamed Superman 64 being so bad, because they were like, oh, DC wouldn't let us do anything with Superman, whatever. Anyways, yeah, so I feel like they're really representing these characters well, but they're like, yeah, doing these like nice deep cut references that really show love for the character, and that the hardcore fans like yourself are going to notice.
Right, and it's a little different, I feel like, too, with WB characters, because like with Mario and you know, some of the other, you know, platform fighters, you know, you play a game, you know, you experience what that game has to offer, which is maybe 3 to 4 hours worth of content if you play it straight through, and then boom, it's done. But some of these characters, like, they're really, you know, kind of reinforcing the idea that we grew up with them. Like, there are some, like, for instance, like, let's look at Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl. If I say stepping on the beach, okay, I expect the audience to go do-do-do-do-do. Like, you know exactly what that means, okay? It's a SpongeBob quote. Same with, like, you know, some of these characters here in WB MultiVersus. And I think it's such an awesome thing to see, because in order to fall in love with these characters, you would have had to watch multiple episodes to really get the gist. And I think this game highlights that really well. Now, Another thing that this game is highlighting really well is not only the stuff that the casual people like myself are going to like, but things that maybe the more competitive style players might like. They're doing 100K pop bonus event at EVO. Top 32 playout, which is completely unheard of. Very, very interesting. All right, they said everybody's touching some money. All right, if I wasn't busy that Saturday, I would have actually had to get in bracket, but I'm going to be busy. I think this also serves as the biggest pop bonus payout in EVO history, which is a little strange coming from EVO, seeing how just a couple weeks ago, I remember Ninja announced that he was going to put in like a 50K pop bonus or something, and they vetoed it. They're like, get it the hell out of here. But Multiverses is coming through with 100K, and they're super down for it. What are our thoughts on that, gentlemen?
I think that it's, number one, huge for WB to be showing that kind of commitment to Multiverses esports already, right? Like they want to get in the show, right? Like they're just buying their ticket at the big seat, or they're buying their ticket at the big table just immediately, right? Like they're not even trying to do the whole grassroots whatever thing that everyone else has tried to do. They're like, no, we're just going for the top tier, the biggest fighting game tournament of the year, the Super Bowl of fighting games, and we're just splashing the cash. This reminds me of exactly, yes, Army is bringing up the Ninja thing, how Ninja teased something big going on with Smash Brothers and how it was finally revealed that it was going to be that he was going to add $500,000 to the Smash Brothers pot at that year's EVO, and Nintendo shut that down because they just couldn't be shown up like that. Obviously, there's no way they're going to allow gaijin like Ninja to show him up, especially he's already appropriating the name, right? So they're not going to let him get away with anything.
I mean, if he wants to pull up to Street Fighter or something when the Street Fighter 6 drops, look, all right, I'm sure the Justin Wongs will not be upset if you drop $500,000.
So yeah, it reminds me of that, right? It reminds me of how Nintendo shut that down, but no, WB's like, fuck no, let's do it. Let's put out the big money and get people excited for this.
It's a smart strategy.
Yeah, it's going to definitely get a lot more signups for Multiverses than there might have been, originally.
Sure.
I think it's going to draw anyone who plays Smash doubles or any sort of doubles.
People will put together teams for this one, I would think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, anyone who plays platform fighters in any sort of like competitive capacity, especially on the doubles scene, is like, you'd be dumb not to be signed up for this, right? Like,
I mean, if you're going to EVO
get your ass to Vegas and get in there.
Like the 32 team payout, you might be able to make the money back you spent to get the EVO in the first place.
Yeah.
I think this is also this is good too, because I think like in traditional fighters, there are certain like techniques and things that just transfer really well over to most fighters. Like I think most people who play Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, are going to be decent in most 2D based fighters.
Yeah, traditional Shotokan fighters, they have techniques that transfer over, just like the 3D ones do, like in Tekken and all of that. And the platformers have it too. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, and I think the platform fighters too have it, and it might not be to the same effect too, but I think for anybody who's probably at home, like maybe a little hesitant on signing up for this bracket, yes, you might bump into the likes of MK Leo, the Buzz, Sandstorm from Brawlhalla, and so on and so forth, but we all might be on the same generalized level of skill. I mean, this is going to be the first really, really big one. Now, as big as the community, or excuse me, the company has been in terms of like putting money in, to the pop bonus and just really getting things kind of set in order. We got to talk about things more on the community end too. My friend Justin and a handful of other talented individuals, Bam from Red Bull, Charles. I know he's no longer with us, EE, but he's also helping put together a community-based Multiverses tournament that should go on this weekend called Universes, and I love that name because it's kind of pulling from all the other platform fighting communities, trying to bring it all into one. So I know that's supposed to be kind of like the soft kickoff for EVO, like trying to get the community a little bit more familiarized with the tournament and things as such. So this will be a really good showing right here for our friends over at Multiverses to show the rest of the world how good their servers are, because you got to do a lot of these tournaments online before EVO.
Yeah.
And the last thing you want is some top player, 100K follower Andy going like, this is cool, but the server's whack, so fuck this game. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to show up.
Well, if Smash is the bar, it's not going to be hard for them to get over that, right? I mean, obviously, if you're saying that Smash Brothers is what they have to be better than, it's kind of likely they're going to do that out the gate. I can't imagine their online is going to be as bad as what Nintendo has going on. So
and that's what you have a closed alpha for. This is what you build up a positive kind of buzz for it while also testing.
Absolutely.
Early on.
And that closed alpha is very soon, actually. It launches May 19th. But you can sign up for the closed alpha at the Multiverses website if you're interested. Definitely go and do that. I did it. But if you wait a little bit longer, they also announced the open beta as well. So when is that taking place again?
I believe that's July of this year.
Okay.
So for those of us who couldn't get in May, like it's you won't wait that long before you get in, but it is still a bit of a wait. And honestly, the demand for the game definitely deserves all of its flowers. This game is a beautiful piece of work, from the cinematic cutscenes that we just seen, the voice acting, I'm sold just off of that, and then of course the gameplay itself, very beautiful, very well polished, and it's just going to be exciting to see. And they're pulling us that platform fighter narrative that we like to live in poverty. They're pulling us out of that, okay? Because as it stands right now, Rise of Ether, Brawlhalla, Multiverses are reinforcing that idea, where there's some other platform fighters that are a little late to the party, like this next one we're going to talk about here. The greatest esport alive, Super Smash Bros. Melee, as Bryan likes to pull it. We just had a summit last weekend, and it was a treat to see in a lot of different ways. Friends, what are our thoughts on that?
Oh, Melee Summit was incredible. I mean, it had it all, of course. It had the pop-offs. It had touching tributes. It had COVID scandal. It had it all. Rod, fill us in with what was going down with Summit.
Well, there's a lot of, big areas. I think the first one, the biggest elephant in the room, of course, is COVID. And there's just no way we can really work around it if these tournaments exist in person. However, of all the tournaments that I've worked, I will say that Summit and VG take it the most serious. And for that, I commend them. But as we, know you can't really fight what your eyes can't see. And unfortunately enough, our commentator friend, and it's strange for me to even say that because this guy hasn't commentated in a very long time, but the commentator extraordinaire, Fendrick Lamar, a.k.a. Fendi, ended up, I guess, testing positive for COVID. But he tested positive in the way where, like, he didn't have any symptoms, but, it just, and they do daily tests. And so because of that, some of our spectator friends who like to go to Summit had to, unfortunately, go the hell home, which wouldn't be an issue if the ticket wasn't $1,000. So I would have hoped they got that reimbursed or refunded.
Real steep.
Very, very steep. And I get it. I mean, you're kicking it with the best players and the best esport in the world. It's going to cost some goddamn money to kick it with these guys. But we got to make sure everybody stays safe. The breakout guy, though, of course, is IBDW. IB doing work. And I know Asif really wanted to touch on him as well. Father's not doing so well. I think he's has cancer, so he's not doing well right now in the hospital. So I know that was something that he kind of had to carry while he was competing. Still found out a way to win. Don't know how he did it, but that is just the resilience that is IBDW. And wow, I just couldn't even imagine playing with that on my mind.
Yeah, for sure.
It's very touching for IBDW to be able to pull out that win and dedicate it to his pops like that. You gotta love to be able to see stuff like that. I wish we could have saved that news for the end of the show for it to be our heartwarming, feel-good story of the day. But this is obviously too good, and we're talking about Smash. You gotta talk about IBDW. So good, so good. But yeah, there was a lot going on. HBox popping off and scaring. What was it, Plup there? Getting just a little too riled up, or HBox getting a little too riled up. Some say, but I mean, honestly, like. Come on, he's HBox. He's going to pop off. Like, are you really going to be scared like that? Come on. I think that was a little overreaction.
Yeah, I mean, this is the industry goat here. HBox is constantly rewriting what the terminology behind pop off actually means. I mean, he's like rewriting it and then doing the illustrations too. It's serious for him. But I did tweet. I said, you know what? The best pop off is still ESAM at Civil War. That shit was crazy. Okay, that was like the Pikachu throw, then the panoramic shot where he's like kind of like. Don't let your memes be memes, like facing the audience and shit. I was in the audience, like, proud father, like, damn, this is my boy. He did that. But HBox has some good ones, too. I know he has one where they caught him once in, like, mid-float, like he jumped in the air and his feet are off the ground. Then there's one where he actually popped off so hard he passed out on stream once.
Wow.
That was certainly a treat to see. But this one, it might be his best. I mean, he just kind of went back to the lab again. He just was like, we out. fucking crazy.
It was pretty crazy. Yeah, a lot of great sets. Just a lot of great Melee to watch. If you didn't watch it, definitely go check it out. I like this recap video that we have for our B-roll. I love the Papa John's that they got going in there. You know they got to get that Papa John's in the video.
Yeah, that was some solid production value there.
Love to see it. But there's actually more Smash news to talk about that kind of got snuck in there, right? Like, just got snuck right in there right before the show went live. Gimmer hit us with a tweet talking about a very first ever for Smash Ultimate. And I think this kind of appeals to you a lot there, Rodney, because you've always been one to hype up the crew battle, right?
Yeah, I do like me some crew battles, man. I think it's a staple in fighting game culture, especially in Smash. You know, again, Melee being the greatest esport ever. There's a whole documentary on it that proves exactly why this statement is true. Yeah, I mean, this is just, you know, this is really cool for somebody like Gimmer to pull off. You know, I think we had to move Double Down from March to July. Again, Uncle COVID came through and ruined everybody's fun. All right, and he's still trying to do it too, you know, just looking at what happened at Summit. But, you know, with this in mind, I think a crew battle would be really awesome. I think, you know, with Smash, you know, we talked about Multiverses being at EVO, you know, Smashers, we don't really have much business at EVO these days. I mean, we don't even have a spot to do like a community tournament anymore. So I think Gimmer kind of bringing us that Vegas feel again, minus that very steep EVO ticket Vegas price, is something really cool to see. And Smash historically has had some of the most legendary crew battles just in this genre of game. I think the most famous one would be the Frostbite one, the Frostbite 2017, and then 2020. I think I got my years right there. And then the Big House, just in that same venue, had a really good one too. So hopefully we can recreate that magic. The Smash World Tour, as we know, this event I believe is a platinum one on the World Tour, and so because of this, we're trying to highlight some of the voices of people from other countries, and I think a crew battle is the best way to do it.
Yeah, I think this obviously ties into, and we've talked about this on the show before, that kind of nationalist mentality when it comes to esports. You know, when you have someone from USA versus someone from another country in a grand finals, you're always going to get those USA chants going in the crowd. We've had that European representation over here recently with the flags and just these boisterous cloisters in the crowd. You don't even have to hype them up because they're just hyped all on their own, cheering for their boys. And yeah, it's been really cool to see. I like it a lot. And yeah, this kind of this just ties right into that. You know, this is just a perfect setup for this to kind of get sort of that world tour feel. You know, got Smash World Tour obviously is going on this year, and that is all about, you know, bringing together people from other countries, bringing the entire international scene together for Smash to determine who is the best in the world. And an international crew battle could once and for all, you know, give some bragging rights to a region to say, you know, well, Mexico obviously now has the best Smash in the world because they won this crew battle or whatever, you know. Exactly.
Which is probably gonna,
it'll at least provide another good story to tell, right?
Right, because, you know, as in fighting games, we love our storylines, we love our narratives, and especially in Smash, that's, you know, what's keeping these top players from you know, jumping over to other games and winning better money. They like the storylines and their 8th place $150, you know, payout and ham sandwich. But, you know, what's funny though, I think America is not as solid in the crew battle as we think we are. And historically shown, the reason why some of these older crew battles have as many views as they do is because a lot of these matches go down to the absolute wire. I believe we had a crew battle versus Japan at Genesis 3, the first really big Genesis, like the first one back after having the first two so many years ago. I want to say Japan beat us in doubles. Renai Komokiri beat two gentlemen no longer with us. Full disclaimer, they beat Zero and Nairo, which at that time was unheard of. Because at that time in the meta, it was take two really strong players in singles and put them together in doubles and just watch them play the 2 1v1 game. We haven't had a combination of people who would come over, and they might not be as good as we are in singles, but they're a much more solid unit in doubles.
Well, yeah, doubles is a completely different game when you get two people who really feed off of each other's play, who really connect. And yeah, I think just I don't want to go back to Multiverses, but I think that's kind of just what they're going for with this focus on doubles, is they're trying to build to, this kind of, they're trying to build a game where you can have two people act as a cohesive team and really do things that you just can't do on your own.
Right. And it's not until America gets their ass beat that we really see where the meta can go. Because up until that point, again, Cloud, just, to take a trip down memory lane. And they might not be the most fond memories because fucking Cloud. But Cloud and Villager, two very, very strong characters in singles at that time in the meta. Villager, not a lot of DLC out, so he was still relevant, And then, of course, Cloud, just DLC, so he's just strong just based off of that. And you put those two characters together, and it was enough to get under our top player's skin. So they took doubles, and then they also took the crew battle too, if I'm not mistaken. So history shows that we're not as good on sticks as we think we are. I mean, we're solid, but it's the audience that really sells the experience because, like you said, America. But I'm fairly certain Mexico is going to come through and free everybody right the hell up. So yeah, we'll see how that all unfolds, man. I'm really excited though, man. Las Vegas is always a great time, and if nothing else, even if you go to Vegas and you get your ass beat, you know what? You're still in Vegas.
Absolutely, you're still in Vegas. You can go get some really good pizza in the middle of the night. You can, just have some fun. You can lose some money. Yeah, absolutely. No, really though, you're right. This is an exciting news story for Smash Ultimate. It's bringing a first ever for Smash Ultimate, and I hope it's gonna be it'll set a precedent of more of these international crew battles. Hopefully, we can get the crew battle a spot at Smash World Tour or something like that.
I'd love to see it, man. I think we need to see more stuff like that. I know Smash World Tour is like all business. Yeah, I'm a full disclaimer. I've worked a billion tournaments for Smash, and I gotta say, the least amount of fun I had, top 5 experiences, was at Smash World Tour. Not because it was a poorly ran, it's just all business. Like, it's like, yo, get on this mic, commentate, go back to your hotel room, rinse and repeat. And I get it. Again, that's our Capcom Pro Tour at that time. So, we had to, and it was the first one too. And we were going up against a lot of really strange narratives like, why is this tournament existing? COVID exists. It's in Florida, which is enough to deter a lot of people.
Online events and things like that, yeah.
Yeah, so we had to go in and go ham. But I would like to see more crew battles. I like to see more emphasis on doubles as well, too. Again, I know we keep going back to multiverses, but they had a lot of, shit that came out today for great reason. I think this is a good thing to touch on. I'd love to see more doubles. It's a format that, it's not going anywhere anytime soon. So hopefully Multiverses just reinforces the idea that doubles is a format that needs to stay around. Brawlhalla runs it pretty well. Rivals runs it pretty well. Okay, Smashers, stop trying to get rid of doubles and replace it with Squad Strike. It's not happening. I don't want to see that shit. I think Squad Strike's cool, but on my tier list of formats, it is in Smash, singles, doubles, and it's like 1 and 1A. It's like Shaq and Kobe. It's interchangeable for me. Number 3, Squad Strike. 4 crews. That's just It is what it is. But let's talk about some more money here, friends.
Well, you did talk about Brawlhalla, and we actually have some Brawlhalla news to get into. The character roster is getting a big bonus now, commemorating Street Fighter's 35th anniversary. So it looks like Smash Brothers is not the only people getting the Shoto characters. What do you think about this news, Rod?
I love it. It's just a good time to be a fan of the platform fighting community. You know what? I'm giving us our own community, damn it. And this is coming from somebody. I grew up in the arcade, so there's a fighting game community. But no longer do we have to stay in the corner, you know what I'm saying, while Big Brother Street Fighter and Tekken sell out, arenas and do their thing. We're proud of them. But it's time for the platform fighter community to rise up, okay? We got too many intellectual IPs running around fighting other famous intellectual IPs right now, very famous ones. And it's time for us to get our shot on the big stage. I think with this is a perfect crossover. Brawlhalla, people kind of sleep on like how great that DLC actually is. They have like actual real people, like wrestlers in there. I believe they have Xavier Woods, if I'm not mistaken, from the New Day. He's in there. The Rock is in there, facing off against Rayman. I want to say Finn and Jake are also in this game too. God, who else is? I mean, there's just a lot of people in this game, and of course, Street Fighter, the king of crossover themselves. I mean, Ryu has fought literally every damn body in his 35 years of existence, the 35th anniversary. His 35 years of existence, he's fought pretty much everybody under the sun. Still waiting on that Tekken cross Street Fighter though. I know we did Street Fighter cross Tekken, waiting for them to come over on our terms. But I think this is cool. Brawlhalla definitely deserves it.
Yeah, having Street Fighter characters in Brawlhalla really it takes something. I'm not saying it takes a lot away from Smash Brothers, but it takes that was an exclusive that Smash had, right?
Sure.
Smash Brothers has long since been the crossover fighting game dream, right? Mm-hmm. Like if you have your character in Smash Brothers, you have made it as far as things go in the platform fighting world. But Brawlhalla is really stepping up there with inclusions like this because, yeah, Smash is no longer the sole domain of a Street Fighter character being in a platform fighter. Brawlhalla is doing it now, too. And, yes, you are right. Finn, Jake, and Princess Bubblegum are all in Brawlhalla, which means they're also going to be characters that are now part of 2 different platform fighting franchises, which is really interesting to think about, and how the characters' move sets will differ between the 2 games. But that's getting aside the point here. I'm really excited to see how some of these characters that are not Ken or Ryu are going to play in Brawlhalla. Characters like Bison and Dulcine. I think that's going to be really neat to see how they stack up against your more traditional platform fighter mechanics.
Yeah, once I saw Bison, I was like, some psycho pressure. Maybe get in there. You got Bison versus Princess Bubblegum. I mean, that's clearly a solid matchup. I want to see. so yeah, I might dive in. Give it a little try.
This game isn't it free to play?
Another free to play platform fighter. And in its base form is free. Of course, DLC and costumes cost money, but I think the fact that it's free to play and it's very competitive, that should be enough right there to get people. And then who doesn't want to use Princess Bubblegum versus Bison? I mean, as we know, Princess Bubblegum's probably gonna whoop his ass, but who doesn't want to see that?
Denny will see about that. Yeah, so Denny, you could just get the game and pay for Bison only, and there you go, you're set. Or whatever.
He's got a whole dive kick I just saw on screen, so the man's just ready.
I gotta ask. Have you guys ever heard of what's called your Ryu number?
No.
About that? Yeah, so your Ryu number is how many, and I think I'm explaining this correctly. My buddy Max was the one who originally brought this up to me, but it's how many people of separation are between you and Ryu, since Ryu is the crossover king. So, for instance, my example would be this. I'm Rodney Conyers Jr. on this end of the spectrum. Ryu's down there. How related am I to Ryu? Well, let me think of all the people I've met. I've met Rick Fox, who was in NBA Street Volume 3, who met Mario. Mario met Ryu. You know what I'm saying? Like, so now you can use...
degrees of separation, yeah. Your Kevin Bacon number, basically.
Right, so now I'm like, hey, I am Rodney Conyers, who has met Xavier Woods. Xavier Woods has now also met Ryu and Bison and a bunch of other people who are probably going to jump in and punch him in the face. Do you guys have one? Have you ever thought of this before?
I haven't thought about it, and I'm pretty sure my number would be you'd have to take quite a few steps to get me from here to there.
I think I think I would be pretty close because I've met Kyle Herbert, who I believe does the voice for Ryu. So
there you go.
Fair enough. Well, from one platform fighter to another, there's a lot of platform fighting news, as we all know. DLC just everywhere, everything. The multiverse, again, is open in a good way right now. Not like what we've seen in Doctor Strange, all right? Smartest man in the world, my ass, all right? You're not the smartest dude in the world. Not the smartest dude in the world.
Oh, shots fired.
Yeah, not the smartest. Yeah, absolutely not. Look, just, again, to sidebar tangent real quick. You tell Scarlet Witch, my boy Black Bolt can obliterate your ass with one sheesh, okay? And she erases your mouth. In what universe do you think is okay for you to
Romance just came in with the Black Bolt spoilers. I guess it's been long enough.
Nobody's seen the movie yet. Come on.
I'm sorry. In what universe do you just Alaska arm and try to grab a witch? That doesn't make any sense. But anyway,
he's mad.
I'm a little mad, but this next piece of news is definitely gonna make me a little bit happier. Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl is here. Of course, they're not going anywhere, further proving why the platform fighting community is moving into
this game refuses to die.
It won't. I'm in the Discord with the community, and they grind literally every day. We just had 3 new characters, and kind of leaning into like that meme narrative that we've seen here with Multiverses. We got Jenny XJ9 from My Life as a Teenage Robot, super dope. I believe that's another Butch Hartman classic there.
I've never seen an episode of that. I never even heard of it, I think.
Okay, well, it's a really good show. But I know this next one you've definitely heard of, Rocco's Modern Life.
Oh, of course.
So Rocco is the GOAT.
Yeah, that's right. And then the last one, and certainly not least by any means, Hugh Neutron from Jimmy Neutron. He's in the game.
People are talking about Hugh Neutron. People are really excited about Hugh Neutron, and I guess he's being favored to be extremely powerful.
I mean, canonically, it should just make sense. I mean, we've seen Ultra Instinct Shaggy. All right, don't ever slap a sandwich out of his hand. I don't remember that from Scooby-Doo at all. Okay, but apparently, if you slap a sandwich out of his hand, he's ready to fight. Hopefully, we see something similar here with Hugh Neutron.
I mean, you can't disrespect the man. Like, especially his food.
It's true. It's very true. Food's a lot of money these days with inflation and everything, and I get it. You know, he's very pissed about that. But this is really cool to see. I think, you know, with DLC just constantly churning out, you know what I'm saying? It shows that, obviously, TV show characters are a little bit different than video game characters. We're pulling from different nostalgia parts of your brain. But it shows that the community and the developers are listening to one another. Obviously, we can't put we can't put Keenan and Kel in this game. Not gonna be able to put George Lopez in the game. All right.
Why can't you put Keenan and Kel in the game?
I mean I could see him fighting with that orange soda. You know, I could see Keenan signing the likeness rights for the character. I don't see Kel doing it though. Or not, I think it's the other way around. Either way, one of them will do it, the other one won't. It's not going to happen. You're right. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, what about Will Smith? We can put the Fresh Prince in.
Will Smith,
slap move. You know? You got
exactly you're going there. They don't own their Nick at Night properties, all right? That just shows they... but no, I think these characters are obviously three favorites that people are going to be excited to play as. Rocco is, you know, I don't know anyone who's my age who doesn't love Rocco, and even younger. Like, Rocco has been a long time fabulous character. Jimmy Neutron, I didn't really watch a lot, but it was very, very popular for sure. I feel like, I don't know, like, is the game at its, like, have they added voices to all the characters yet? Have they
so it's coming. I know it's coming, and I know it's when I hear that, you know, they're doing another platform fighter of any sort, people think in order to make it like a household thing that the competitive viability needs to be there. And that's not true. You know, the competitive, you know, nature of any game is a very small subsection of the overall casual competitive universe. We all know this, okay? You guys all play competitive games. I've seen you do it. Fact of the matter is this. The game has to aesthetically be pleasing enough. And unfortunately, it has to be aesthetically pleasing enough to match the level of Papa's Super Smash Brothers. I hate to say it because, look, I love Nick. All right, my roommate in New Jersey, Maximilian Ketchum, he's the Nick guy. All right, I've been playing the game a lot more. But it goes without saying that this genre of game did not exist before Smash. So Smash laid a very big template for people to step into, very big shoes to fill. As it stands right now, the only one that's even giving Smash a run for its money in a lot of right ways, and probably the better ways, is obviously WB MultiVersus.
And we haven't even played it yet, is the thing. Like, that's crazy, you know?
And you just know. You just know.
And yeah, people are already saying that it's the one that's going to give Smash its run for its money. I agree with you. I just don't know. I just don't know if All-Star Brawl will ever get to that point, right? I just don't. I don't see it happening. And when it does, if it does, it's definitely going to be too little, too late, right? I mean, it's not. I don't know. I just don't see big things in the future for this game.
It's tough. Yeah, I know. I'm remaining hopeful, but I'm kind of the gamer in me is remaining hopeful. But as somebody who's worked in the industry for a long time, like yourself, you just have to be realistic, you know, about it.
Gamers are so fickle nowadays, and people move on from one game to the next so quickly nowadays. It's very, very difficult to get,
especially multiplayer titles.
Absolutely, especially thank you,
so
Denny,
much competition.
Especially multiplayer titles. Yeah, it's so hard to get a new franchise established and set in there as something people want to play for years and years and years. Very few games have been able to do it. Rocket League, Fortnite, you know what I mean? Like Apex. These are all games, multiplayer games that have kind of entrenched themselves and become.
Well, I mean, all the stuff you're naming are games that are also free to play. So, like,
exactly,
Nick Brawl over here, that's not.
Yeah,
And
that was a big one
is
for me.
Multiverses going to be free to play?
Multiverses will be free to play.
See, exactly. There we go.
And it's on multiple platforms. Like, you know, and that's another thing too that I think platform fighters really have to have in this day and age. They have to be available on multiple platforms.
Yeah.
That way, for the traditional platform fighter player who uses a GameCube controller, but he's going to a tournament like EVO, and I'm just hypothetically speaking, it's like, hey, if you have like the adapter piece where you can like do your thing and switch it over to GameCube, do it. Like, it's just
I don't think they're going after Smash Brothers players in general for Multiverses as much.
Well, right.
I think Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl wore its inspiration a little too closely on its sleeve when it came out, and people were like, well, obviously this is going after Smash Brothers Lunch with the way that it's designed, styled, and the dev choice was a company that was, you know, somebody who already shipped a Smash clone.
Sure.
Whereas Multiverses is from a dev who hasn't shipped a Smash clone. This is from a very seasoned team of developers. These people have been in the industry for, you know, years, if not decades. But these are people who worked on titles like God of War and stuff like that. You know, these people who have a kind of a, I hate to say, a more diverse pedigree of AAA development. You know what I mean? It's I'm sorry, but the only AAA development that's been involved in platform fighting has been Smash Brothers up until this point. You know what I mean?
Until this point,
yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's a longer rope, you know, it's a longer rope for this game because, I mean, you see the production value. So even if there's a situation where the gameplay needs to be tightened up, I feel like people are going to have more faith in what Multiverses is trying to do because they're putting the money out there. And, you know, they'll be able to put a patch out there and stuff like that, you know, regularly to get things on point. Whereas I don't have that same kind of, you know, confidence in what Nick Brawl is doing, even if they are, you know, eventually getting the tools they need for, you know, voice acting and stuff like that. I feel like having, like, fully committing and then also having all that day one is important to establishing that player base. And you also have a situation where, look, you got these kids coming out here who are seeing their favorite characters and cartoons and stuff like that. If they don't have to ask mommy and daddy to go, you know, get a credit card to play, they can just hop on, get that going, and then eventually, like, coax, you know, get their parents to maybe get down for some DLC or something. But that's a win for Multiverses in the long run, you know, the same way you see Roblox and all these, you know, those Roblox cards, you know, like.
Right.
No, I completely agree with you. The way they're going about it is much smarter for them to try to get to become an established multiplayer title that people keep playing. I feel like and to my point from earlier, I feel like they're not trying so hard to poach the Smash Brother player. You know, with their focus on doubles, no blocking, dodging only. It kind of makes the game a little more fluid, keeps characters moving a little more. I think. It just feels like they are going for something akin to Smash Brothers because it's a platform fighter and that will always be associated with Smash Brothers forever and ever since it invented the genre, as you said. But yeah, I feel like they're going for something just a little more original, kind of like Brawlhalla or some of these other platform fighters that have found more success because it's not exactly like Smash Brothers.
Right. And I think there's a. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Danny.
I was going to say, like, can I ask you guys a question? Because, like, having seen, like, I know we had it in here. I can put it up on the stream, but I haven't seen, like, that pro versus devs, like, showcase for Multiverses.
Yeah.
You know, I saw some people were, like, talking about, like, the emphasis, like emphasizing on certain characters, like, it being harder to follow the flow of the actual gameplay while, like, watching as a spectator. You know, if you guys have seen, like, the gameplay itself, do you agree with that? Do you think it looks like it's a little bit harder to follow what's going on screen?
Doubles? I think doubles is always a little harder to follow than singles inherently. So people who might be used to watching singles Smash might find it harder to watch Multiverses at first just because it is a little bit more difficult to keep track of 4 characters at the same time versus 2. But no, as someone who's watched a lot of Smash, I don't think I felt it was more difficult to watch. I did notice, however, though, that, because there's, like, no blocking, dodging only, like, they just never stop moving.
Right. Well, and also this, you know, a platform fighter, we have been, not we here, but, like, the average competitive viewer for a platform fighter has been conditioned into thinking that the way the game is supposed to be played is 1v1. When these developers make these games, it's a platform fighter is meant for pure chaos. I don't know what the fuck is happening. Oh, I died. Like we've all played Smash casually, and you're like, where am I? And it's like, bro, you're off stage, you're dead. And then, now obviously we can write our own narratives on, however we want to play the game, but that's typically how the game is supposed to be played. I think even looking at the trailer and looking at like the commotion fight ball that they're all in, again, very much leaning into it needs to be chaotic. Doubles, little difficult to follow if you only really follow singles or squad strike or whatever your game of choice is. But I think after, like Bryan said, give it a couple times, it'll be like, okay. And also too, these characters don't really feel the same. Like when I look at Smash, I'm like, okay, if I was casual, I'd be like, is this Marth? No, this is Crom. But like nobody looks like Wonder Woman. Nobody looks like Superman. Nobody looks like Tom and Jerry. So if nothing else, you can at least look for that. But Bryan, to your point about the Nickelodeon stuff, there's a lot of tropes and a lot of narratives that I think you're supposed to play into if you're going to create a platform fighter that's going to be similar to Smash, like you talked about, and some that you shouldn't. I think one thing that they all share is that they want to stay in their own little self-contained bubble. Most platform fighters people don't lean over into other people's games. Hopefully, again, Multiverses changes this. But also, there's that inability to we just won't die. Okay, you can move us, you can ban us from Twitch, you can do everything that we did to Melee, and we're still going to figure out a way to play this game. And if nothing else, I think that all platform fighters share that. However, we don't have to hold on to it forever. And I think that's one thing that's kind of holding Nick back. Like, they have the narrative of we're solely focused on competitive, and then like the casual experience and the aesthetical things second. And then, of course, say what you want about us. We're going to stay to ourselves. We're going to work with who we want to work with, but the devs don't really make events for us. They don't really put money in, so we're just kind of doing our own thing. I wish it wasn't like that. I wish the devs were like, hey, here's a big-ass pop bonus. Do your thing. Or, hey, here's a standalone Nickelodeon tournament. There's enough people in the community that we can do small side brackets at tournaments or your own standalone thing. I mean, we just did the Legends of the Hidden Temple at my place in New Jersey. Yeah. If we can do a summit, we can do an actual thing. But I don't know. I just feel like, maybe Nick just doesn't want to do it. And again, it's that platform fighter that it's us against the world, and we just are doing our own thing type of thing.
It's just going to be too little too late, I believe. Like, if they, like, Multiverses, obviously, to go back to this comparison, they're throwing $100,000 at EVO. What is Nickelodeon doing to get people playing Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl? You said, people are hosting invitationals in their living rooms.
I mean, is Nick Brawl even on? Is it even on the channel? Like, they had like channel events on Nickelodeon?
No,
I don't even think so.
Chris talked about that. Who's not with us anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, we've talked about on the show before why isn't this on Nickelodeon? Right? They should be spotting this game on the channel.
Yeah, they really should, and it's just. It really hurts to see, man. It's like, bro, this game is so amazing, and yet we just, the game is great. The characters are great. We love all these Nickelodeon characters. We grew up with literally all of them. Like, I can at least say that there are more characters in Nickelodeon All-Stars that I know that I grew up with than WB MultiVersus. Like, I know Steven Universe, Venture Time with Finn and Jake. I caught on to those shows a little late because, again, we talked about it earlier, but it was the shift in cartoon humor. I said, I'm not really here for the hammer bonks and the pie throws. I'm more for the comedic dialogue, and they gave me that, so I came back to that, but I didn't grow up with it. But yeah, it's just something that we need to see from Nick, but like you said, it might be too little too late.
I just feel like the time sorry, go ahead, Denny.
Yeah, I just think WB has the advantage because the IPs themselves are, Nickelodeon, of course, has classics, but there's been so many iterations of some of these characters. Like, Scooby-Doo has reinvented itself so many times at this point. So there's multiple generations that are coming in with that knowledge from the start. And then you still have more mature IPs you can lean into, and stuff like Gandalf, or like characters who are just out here forever.
No, I think you're right with that. I think WB has the ability, Multiverses has the ability to feel more diverse. It has the breadth to make it feel like this is a truly crossover type of game, like Smash Ultimate feels, since there are just so many characters that span such a long span of time in video game history with Smash Brothers. You have characters that invented video games in Smash, and then you have characters that just came out, like recently, and all the way in between. And Multiverses has that as well with media. They have the ability to showcase characters that have been in pop culture, since since TV was invented.
Yeah.
And all the way up until now. Whereas the Nickelodeon characters are just, it's another cartoon character.
It is another card. You're right. And you know what? I didn't even think about this either, but they're kind of throwing their hat into the ring. Like, there's been a silent whose intellectual properties are more popular, whose company is more standoffish. There's been a silent battle that nobody's been talking about for these last couple of years between Disney and Nintendo. Of course, both sides, I feel like, have to play nice with each other, even in times where they don't want to. And a lot of times, there's never really a deal struck.
Nice anymore. Nintendo's making their own parks like Disneyland now. So
that's right. They're making their own parks. So I would imagine, Disney, they're going to start answering back with more video games that feel like whatever Nintendo's doing, which is the only, real way to fight back. But WB is kind of doing the same thing too. Yeah, me neither. But WB is kind of doing the same thing too with Space Jam, and then of course all the other intellectual properties. They're like, hey, wait a minute, like, we got movies too. Now they might not be connected, but if we created something where they all are connected in the same world, most recent IP being LeBron James, Space Jam 2. Hopefully he makes it into the game because it just makes sense.
I mean, feel like it's going to happen. I feel like LeBron's definitely in.
Space Jam was Multiverses the game. It was literally Multiverses, or the Multiverses the movie rather. But it just makes sense.
Yeah, all the tie-ins and IP and commercials and having LeBron playing this game, like those kind of things are what you can't really. Those are the intangibles that you bring in when you have that kind of IP coming in and combining in those ways, like having Arya Stark or like anyone from Game of Thrones playing the game with friends is going to bring in viewership.
Lillard.
Like those kind of things are what's missing from the Nick Brawl and some of the other platform fighters when you're bringing in some of these guest appearances. And also, I have a fairly good feeling that they would put a tournament on Cartoon Network or, in some of those Saturday slots or something like that, where it's just, you're just showing, Teen Titans Go for 12 hours. You can toss in one of these tourneys and put it on, and they have their own streaming service. So there's ways to maybe potentially put up some kind of special content or replays of some of the tourneys as well. There's a lot of different ways to go about it.
Hopefully we see it done. I mean, I think it goes without saying that they're going to do something, but hopefully we see it hammered out and executed.
Well, before we move on, I just want to make one last point. Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl came out October 5th, 2021. And the game still doesn't feel finished. Whereas Multiverses is yet to come out, and that game feels done. Like, it's done. Get it out. You know what I mean? Like, they're getting it out. They're doing the beta, doing alpha, doing beta and everything. So yeah, I just think it's already, in my opinion, I'm calling it here, it's already too little too late for Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl. Your game came out in October. It still does not feel finished. By the time you finish it, nobody's going to care. And that's that.
Yeah, Brian's putting this tombstone out. He said it's time to get the shovel.
Dearly beloved, we're gathered today to celebrate the life of Nickelodeon All-Stars.
We barely knew you.
We barely knew. He said it's too little too late. Now, hopefully, for this next title, though, it's not too little too late. We're going to shift over to the first-person shooters.
Yeah.
Halo, man. So I know last week, or maybe it was the week before, we talked about Tyler Spartan Garza. He's been vocal, against Halo, and is now stopping. He's no longer playing for the team. I think he's on the bench right now at EU United. So for those who are just tuning in who don't know, he got a little vocal. Said, for lack of better words, Halo's not a fun time. All right, I'm going to give you the Disney version. It's not a fun time, and I'm just not playing this game anymore. I'm not having it. I play this game professionally. A lot of money on the line in KC. My team got fourth, but I felt like had this been a better damn game, we might have been able to get first. And I think these are valid complaints. Again, you can't ignore your top players, verified on Twitter with 1 billion followers. It's easy to ignore somebody like Rod at Shacknews. Okay, nobody cares what I say until Boss Man says it, all right, on the internet. But you can't ignore Mr. Tyler here. So, friends, what are our thoughts on this?
Well, I think it's kind of, I don't know, it's a very complicated two sides of the story issue, and he's a kind of controversial, figure in the Halo esports scene, just by being an outspoken person. And yeah, you're right that he, said some not so nice things about his game of choice, but they were all warranted. As Surfer Boy Sam, Army of Techno in chat have also said, everything he said was something that he was right about. Now, did he say it in the most affable or nice, constructive way. No, he definitely didn't say it in the most constructive way, and that cost him some money in the form of fines, which also I think is kind of dumb. But these players are held to a to a certain standard of behavior. If you were a pro sports player and you had problems, with how your organization was handling things, you could absolutely be fined by airing out the dirty laundry, in a crass or vulgar way. But yeah, it wasn't like, I don't know. It just wasn't like it wasn't the greatest thing in the world for him to get involved with. But a $2,500 fine is a lot of money. I mean, for an esports player. I mean, I know these guys. Halo Infinite has big prize pools, some of the largest in first-person shooting right now. But that's quite a hefty fine. And then to be held in this contract, right? Like to be held in this contract with E United and not to be released from it, when obviously he's not happy, organization's not happy. The organization has made moves that he felt betrayed him personally, which they completely just have brushed aside. And
Sure.
I don't know. I think it's wrong for sure. Go ahead, Denny.
Yeah, I mean, on one hand, I understand where Tyler is coming from as far as the state of the game and being vocal about that side of things. I mean, I think that players should be able to be somewhat honest to a certain extent about the thing that they're putting hours and content into. But at the same time, as far as the contract side goes, I mean, Spartan he chose to bench himself, which in those scenarios,
yes,
I gotta lean more towards the org because you sign a contract, so that's like signing the contract for the NBA season, and then playoff season comes around, and you're like, I'm not liking how these ref calls are going, so I'm about to sit on the bench for the rest of the game. Like both the fans and the organization are like, what's going on here? You're getting paid for this particular reason to play through the season. Now, if you want to go through the off season period, or when it's time for free agency and air your grievances with the company, that makes sense to me. But when it comes to actually living up to your contract and to what you signed as a player, choosing to bench yourself in the middle of this situation is definitely, I could see why the organization is saying, okay, we're not going to play that kind of game with you at this point.
Yeah.
So it's also a liability too. I mean, you're hurting the brand as much as you feel like you're dying on a.
Yeah.
It's an interesting hill to die on, and I feel like somebody has to, because somebody has to again let the developers know that this is not the best game that you can put out. It does suck that it came from somebody like himself. I know he's not really so focused on his career. However, how much voice do you have when you're not playing anymore? Like when they put you on the bench, yes, there's the narrative of, well, they benched him or he benched himself and he's not playing, blah, blah. But if you think about it, the less games you play, I'm not saying he's going to fall out of public favor, but we don't see you anymore. If we're not seeing you play all the time, it's just like, again, like you talked about earlier, Brian, the video game community is, what have you done for me lately? Oh, nothing. Forget about you. Bye. So hopefully they can come to some sort of middle ground. I mean, he has to keep getting fined because, like you guys said, he signed the contract. It makes sense. But damn, to be honest, is there any other way to let the developers know what the hell is going down? A sponsored player on your sponsored world tour, just coming off of, HCS and KC, I
mean, there's ways to go. There's ways to go about that though. There's not a reason why you can't decide as part of the org, hey, why don't we get together with some of these other organizations and actually have a sit-down conversation with the development team and air our grievances in a professional manner, directly, or how do we get in touch if Microsoft is sponsoring some of the events? Let's talk to them directly in that way compared to, I'm going to go off unscripted on social media and then completely crap on the game and I'm getting paid to play. Which,
maybe there's other players who have tried too, because I would imagine the developers are not, again, as in the community as most developers.
Well, yeah, of course,
prove that they are, and so maybe there have been multiple attempts from players like, hey, if somebody's going to do this, it's going to be me who gets.
But
paid
then that's the part you air out publicly. Then saying that behind the scenes, we've been trying to get in touch with developers and saying, hey, this is not a fun experience for us right now. and then that puts more pressure on them to respond compared to, going all out after events and then benching yourself.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Army of Techno is right. He can't talk specifically about details of his contract. They are under NDA about things. All players are under NDA about that. But I mean, so EU put out this statement, the one that you had on screen, and obviously this statement reads very plainly. It kind of expresses their regret that Tyler has expressed feelings that aren't that he's not happy with, and they feel like it's unfortunate that he's choosing to bench himself and this and that, and how they've received some interest and this and that. However, it's a very covering their own ass kind of statement.
Right.
Yeah.
And Tyler has gone on record, with details into this whole situation, saying that he won't be forced to play, obviously, but he received a call, from E United management saying that they're not going to let him go anywhere. He's not tradable, not for sale. That he's only going to play for E United this season, and if he's going to be benched for 4 to 5 months and only been given substitute pay, sit out, for Worlds in Orlando and everything, then they've done it to other players before, and they'll do it again. And that's paraphrasing, obviously, but he says he has a witness to this phone call. He also said he was given assurances prior to his contract being signed that, if he didn't want to be with the organization, that he would never be held to the organization. And he signed the contract with that assurance.
They gotta be, it's gotta be in writing.
Exactly. So yeah, that's the kind of thing where even if they say it, you still have to have it in writing, because if it's not part of the contract, then it's not part of the contract.
Yeah, exactly. That's the type of thing is, if they're not putting it in the contract, you gotta ask why.
Yeah. So, and my whole devil's advocate question in all of this is, if you're that unhappy, why don't you play another game?
Well, I know. And honestly, we could say the same for Smash too. Like, a lot of people are unhappy with Smash in a lot of ways. Melee, of course, being the most vocal. Nintendo doesn't love us. And then Ultimate, this fucking character's broken and blah, blah, blah. Again, DLC and patches, arguably some of the worst things to happen to fighting games, period. But, we could easily say, why don't you just go play something else? Now, I will say this. Halo feels like its own thing. Like, there are other shooters. Yes, there's Call of Duty. There's CSGO.
You could only move over to Destiny, obviously, because that's the only thing that feels like Halo, because it's made by Bungie, and even then, there's no money in Destiny esports. So
no, there's not. And so it shouldn't come down to, do I want my cake and do I want to eat it too? Like, I should be able to complain about this, but I also should be able to.
Splitgate. Could you move to Splitgate? We could shoehorn a little Splitgate talk in here.
They're making some moves.
Yeah, they're making moves. They're trying to put some money into Splitgate esports. Army of Techno loves Splitgate.
Maybe it's a tough one for me. Again, the one that the part of me that wants everybody to have a fun time with the game, even though I know fun is subjective. The game needs to be finished. It needs to feel finished. We talk about Nickelodeon not finished. Halo's somewhere in that realm too. Maybe not as bad, but still somewhere up in there. And but also, like Denny said, and like you said,
guys,
there's a financial obligation, that you, or contractual obligation, that you signed with this team that you play for E United, this tour that you're on. Is the difference between you being at home working a regular job, which there's nothing wrong with, or chasing your Halo dreams. And unfortunately, now you're at the fork in the road where you just cannot have your cake and eat it too. You're either going to have to shut up and play or sit out. And I hate that athletes have to be in that sort of, thing. But, dude, once you sign it, it's in writing, bro.
Or you can keep eating those fines and play if he wants to keep being vocal. Like that's an option too. But like benching yourself,
it only worked for Michael Jordan
in the mid-season. Like when there's big money on the line, like you guys said, $250,000 and such, and the team is putting you out there as their number one, and then you're not available. I understand what he's doing. I understand why it's making those kind of waves by sitting down and kind of like basically a protest. Hoping that it's going to make big enough waves that it kind of takes in for the rest of the scene to say, hey, this game sucks. We don't enjoy playing it, but
yeah. Before we move on, I want to touch on this question from Army of Techno, and it's a very important question. Isn't it reasonable to expect that an esport, the esport that you play professionally, would be playable at its most basic core? And I get, it's a tough question because, yes, I think, and sorry to dominate this one, I think it is reasonable to expect that for sure. Obviously, it's reasonable to expect devs to have a game be competent, enough for competitive play, for high-level competitive play. And at the same time, though, there's the other side of that coin. If you sign the contract to play the game, then you sign the contract to play the game. What do you guys think?
In its current state, I mean, that's. Of course, you're counting on the game to be successful and be playable, but the same way there's situations where people are playing games until, a certain glitch gets, banned if it's found in real time during a tourney, like the kind of decisions have to be made. I feel like in this situation, there should be pressure put on the orgs to start talking to the developer or to Microsoft and those kind of things about what they're going to do moving forward with the league or any kind of other connections, for professional side of things. That's going to take time, obviously, but I understand why, from a player perspective, you feel frustrated because it's not happening fast enough. But there's channels for that kind of situation compared to just going off the deep end. I mean, you look at every other professional sport, out here, you do those kind of things just based on what's available. If you don't like a rule, like plenty of us don't like some of the rules on the NFL side right now. But if you sign like a rookie contract and then you decide you're just not going to play that first year because you didn't like the new rule that the commissioner brought in, that's something real rough on your end.
Well, yeah. But the problems with Halo Infinite are akin to showing up for your game and one of the hoops is missing. You know what I mean? Like, you expect the arena to do the basic upkeep so that you can at least play the game in a manner that you're accustomed to. So yeah, I mean,
feel like they should build on some kind of association then for the players to be able to voice those kind of grievances. So it's not put on one single player to have to, give up their livelihood and also risk getting,
It's unfortunate. I feel like this player has kind of been targeted just because he is an outspoken player, right? He is the one who is going to speak out about these glaring issues because that's just who he is. And I think that is kind of unfair.
Yeah, I think so too. It's again a very vicious fork in the road. Again, nobody wants to have the shut up and play narrative, but sometimes, yes, I did sign some things, but I'm also a human being, and if I have to do this thing professionally in any other work environment, if something's going on that and it's stopping you from performing properly, you would bring it up to the supervisor. Now, as we know, in most, work environments, your supervisor is going to send you to HR, then HR is going to tell you to go fuck yourself, and then nothing's really going to come of it. But the fact of the matter is that there still should be an option or something for me to get to the people at the top to speak with and air out my grievances, and then from there, be able to hopefully see some type of change. Obviously not overnight. It's never overnight, but somewhere it's just snowball. But we're just not really seeing it, and there's a lot of money on the line. And
I think too much. I think there's too much money.
It's a massive amount of money for a game that people can't play properly.
Yeah, I think so too. But on the topic of a lot of money on the line, friends, you can help us put some more money on the line here. And Shacknews. Sorry, we had to get out of there because I know we were about to jump down the Halo rabbit hole. But friends, you can definitely help us put some more money on the line here at Shacknews. Just follow my simple instructions, okay? First and foremost, go ahead and follow the channel. If you're here already and this conversation hasn't convinced you to do it, I don't know what really will at this point. I might have to start rapping or singing to get people to subscribe. But please subscribe and follow this channel, okay? It's very, very simple. And if you're a gamer, I know your spending habits, they're terrible, okay? Spend $5 with us. It will not go wrong, okay? There's a lot of cool emotes we have. Donovan Erskine, probably the most handsome emote on Twitch. Of course, we have Lola, our boss, okay? That's who we answer to. All right, that's our boss's boss, so that's how you know it's serious. Also, follow us on Twitter. We are very, very active on Twitter. In fact, so active that if you talk to the Twitter account, we will probably talk back, okay? We're not one of those faceless, Twitter accounts that don't speak to the community. We get involved.
Of course.
We get active, courtesy of my man, Denny Von Doom here to the left of me, man. Big shout out to him, of course. Follow us as well on Instagram, Shacknews Media. Still working on getting at Shacknews. It's coming soon. I can smell it in the air, but he works on that as well. and it looks damn good on there, okay? Also, we're on YouTube, okay? We do a lot of cool Twitch stuff, but we also do a lot of pre-recorded content as well. Big shout out to Greg Burke. Greg Burke gets right to work. We have 2 YouTube channels, Shacknews, and I believe it's Gamer Hubs TV, Gamer Hub Media.
Gamer Hub Videos.
Videos, that's right. Subscribe to that channel, okay? We got all sorts of content. Our podcast stuff goes up on there. Of course, we have Retail Therapy where we talk about Pokemon cards and collecting sneakers and all types of cool content. Interviews. I like to interview people sometimes. Sometimes I like to talk to people. Sometimes they talk back. All right. Sometimes I got to do it in the Shacknews jersey to get my foot in the door. But damn it, somebody's going to listen to me talk. All right. And our interviews do very well. Okay. So go on over to our YouTube channel and check that good shit out. OnlyFans. We're on OnlyFans too. No, I'm kidding. We're not on OnlyFans. But could you it's coming soon. I
don't want to imagine. No, I can't.
I don't know what kind of content will be showing up.
That's right. Download Shack Pets though. Look, we spend so much time on social media. There's a lot of terrible things going on in the world. Some of it is going to have to demand our attention. There's some stuff we can turn a blind eye to. One app that you don't have to turn a blind eye to is Shack Pets, okay? Check it out. If you love animals, all right. Look, scientifically, I talked about this last week. I'll touch on it again. Scientifically, it shows that if you look at pictures of small animals, whether they're penguins, ducks, kittens, puppies, whatever the case is, it does something to the brain, and it alleviates depression, anxiety, and all the other fucked up things that are wrong with people on the planet. If you download Shack Pets, I promise you, your day will do a complete 180. You'll be a better person on the other side. Just swipe a little bit. You'll find a pet that you like. Big shout out to Bossman for putting together that app. And the best thing about it is that it's free. All right, we talk so much about DLC. There's no DLC in Shack Pets, okay? What you see is what you get, and you're going to have a lot of fun with the app. So please check that out. Download it today. If you got a smartphone, all right, you already know what you need to do. Android, iPhone, all the other Pokédex, I'm sure it's on there too. All that shit.
Windows Phone, Zune,
all
absolutely.
Of that. Zune, MP3, MP4, it's on there. Check it out. Shack Pets will not
Apple iPod, but you can't buy those anymore, so sorry.
Womp womp.
That's right. Womp womp womp. Coming soon though. But yes, tons of cool content. All you gotta do is just stay up to date with us, and we will steer you and lead you to the promised land of video game freedom. Okay, kick it with us, Shacknews.
Absolutely. Let's move on to the next story. Another kind of competitive gaming gaff that has hit Riot Games pretty hard for the League of Legends flow in their 2022 mid-season invitational. The global head of competitive operations, Mr. Alex Francois, has posted a very lengthy description of what transpired over the past mid-season invitational. It turns out the game's in Busan, which is in South Korea. Shout out Busan, South Korea. Get on that train. Turns out that they had some competitions in the group stage with players that were affected by basically latency not being reported correctly in the game that they were playing. Players were, playing saying that the game basically felt like it was 80 milliseconds, where it was saying that it was much less. And it turns out the players were right. Of course. I mean, these guys play all day, every day for thousands of hours. They're going to know when something feels off. And because of this lag discrepancy in these games, they now have to replay 3 entire games all over again, which completely changes things, right? I mean, you never want to have to replay games in a competitive setting. How do you guys feel about this? I mean, this is kind of a little egg on the face for Riot Games, huh?
I think so. I mean, they're used to this egg at this point. I mean, they've had all types of egg on their face. Scrambled, sunny side up, over hard, eggs Benedict, all types of shit at this point. It does suck, though. Like, when you look back and you're like, there's one big thing that we'll never be able to fix because physically human beings just don't have the ability to do this. But when you play something and then you have to go back and play it, it's going to suck. There's no way to fix that. And we have to make sure 112,000% that everything is where it needs to be before we jump into any competitive environment because we don't have a time machine. We can't go back and fix things. This is unfortunate. I'm glad, though. I mean, they addressed it. I think that's where it starts. Got to hold yourself accountable. You got to put out that carefully curated you know what I'm saying, thought out post that some college intern wrote to save their skin. Everybody does it.
Yes.
You know, but it does suck to see on the topic of professional players who are paid to do this professionally have to go back and redo some shit. It sucks.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I think that's having to play any game again after a matchup has already been decided is already that's just it's rough. And then also, you know, in terms of what we just talked about with the Halo situation, here we are now another problem with the competitive gameplay. This time, the company and the scene did the right thing, at least with as far as acknowledging it publicly, and trying to make it right. But it still sucks overall that this happened in the first place.
Yeah, this is more of a server back-end problem than it is a problem with the game. Excuse me, a game with the game itself. I think, obviously, for the players who were really feeling the lag discrepancy, I guess it's going to be good for them, right? Because they now get a chance to redeem themselves. You know, if maybe their play was sloppy, poor, just because it felt off, they now get a chance to go in there and redo it with hopefully the right ping reportings and the right connection and everything. I just feel like I think some of the behind the scenes problems with this is because some teams were able to play remotely, where some were able to play locally at the event, and obviously that's going to cause an issue, right? If you have some players playing remotely online versus teams that are able to compete at an event and have it all count towards the same standings. I don't know. What do you guys feel? Do you feel like you could successfully run a mixed online offline event?
It sounds good on paper, and so again, in the idea of playing games competitively, in order to keep the community perpetuating forward and bringing in new people, you have to, basically create more accessible ways for people to play. I've always been in the camp, especially in Smash. It's a little bit different in like other fighting games or other just titles where you have company support. But even in Smash, I'm always like, we should do an online focus bracket only, where people who are signed up for in person can't play in this one. This one's strictly for people who are at home. That way, they don't feel left out. It might not be Rodfest, 2002, the same sort of prestige, but you know what I'm saying, you still get you get an online medal, you get an NFT medal. No, I'm kidding. You don't get an NFT medal, but you do get some sort of online medal. But it's like here in this type of format with League of Legends, I don't like it. I think it needs to be either all one thing or all the other. You just can't do mix. It doesn't seem right. I would almost go as far to say is whoever has to play online is almost at a handicap. Like they can always say, well, I played online, so it wasn't the same as the in person. Like, I don't know. I don't like it.
It's also just a lot of logistics that you have to get together to have working when you have both sides in, and we're still in a pandemic. So, like, why even bring in multiple factors with situations now where you're trying to make both happen?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like if you have teams who are coming from a region that might be affected by COVID more heavily than the other, so they might have more travel restrictions, something like that. In this, right now, in the state of the world with the pandemic the way that it is, you just have to chalk it up to, I'm sorry, you don't get to travel for this one, and it sucks. It really does suck.
It does. It's horrible.
But yeah, to keep things safe, to keep things fair, I feel like that's just kind of the way it has to be. If you unfortunately cannot travel, and it really sucks because you can't pick the region you live in. Not everybody is able to just pack up and move. Like, well, shit, I can't travel from this region because COVID is out of control here. I'll just pack up and move to a region where it's more under control and travel is a little loosened. Obviously not nearly anybody can do that. So it's really tough. It is.
Yeah, it's mega unfortunate. Hopefully, this type of stuff doesn't happen again. I hate that these examples always come at the expense of these top player professionals' lives, their livelihood, their financial means of existence. I wish like this type of stuff happened, like, I don't know, in like preliminaries or like qualifiers, or even in no disrespect, even at like a collegiate level, like boom, there it is, we found it. Okay, nip it in the bud. That way it doesn't happen again. But unfortunately, it happened at the level that it did. So we're going to obviously chalk this up to a learning lesson. Just don't let shit, like, please cover all your bases because we cannot go back in time to fix it.
Yeah. Hopefully the game replays will go off smoothly and everyone will be happy with the results. But obviously, when you replay a games in a competitive setting like that, there is no way to make everybody happy. Whoever is on the losing side of those games is going to feel cheated in some way or another a little bit.
That's facts. That's big facts, man.
Yeah. Let's move on, though, to someone else who is known for, cheats and lies and things like that. Dr. Disrespect himself is putting together, and really, I don't even like talking about this guy, but he's putting together a big tournament with a big amount of money, a huge pot. So we kind of have to talk about it. And it's involving a game, an esport, that typically doesn't see these types of large, huge pot events anymore. Yeah, because it used to. Fortnite is the game, obviously, we're talking about here. It's on the screen. You can see it behind me. Yeah, Fortnite is the game that he's hosting a tournament for. It's going to be a 2v2 zero build game, because I guess that's the new hotness in Fortnite. Everybody's on this zero build train. I didn't think they were going to make it a full-time thing, and here I'm just eating.
They saw those numbers. Yep. Yeah, they saw those numbers. They're like, yeah, it's happening.
It's happening. You know, I like this trend that we are seeing of people who I feel like there's always been a level of disconnect from streamers and then like the competitive format. You know, some of our favorite streamers have more Twitch followers, more Twitch subs than like, the channels that these games are done on competitively. But now we're in this day and age, we're starting to see more personalities get involved now. However, I know, Brian, not all personalities are created equal. Some of these guys aren't all that great. Some of these guys like to film in the bathroom toilets. That's not cool.
No.
Right. But I think because, Ninja, of course, has been getting involved. I know, again, we just seen that poker match. He's like, I tried to drop $1 billion and Papa Nintendo was like, no. And then Pokimane, I know she's somehow involved with Evo. I can't remember how. She owns a company that owns a company.
She's an investor, part of the company that is the now holder, the holdings company for Evo. Basically, they run it.
She's involved that way now. I believe when Pokemon, what's this Legend of Arceus had just came out. There was a big Pokemon streamer who used to be a competitive player but now turned more content creator, wanting to put together like a day zero tournament. So we're starting to see more of this.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. It does kind of, again, suck. The same with Ludwig too. But again, it does kind of suck that it is coming from Dr. Disrespect, the person who, and then also Fortnite, its competitive viability has always been a question. So
he's a very controversial, figure, right? He's a very controversial influencer. Obviously, there's always going to be all of that when talking about him. But, I mean, we're talking about, like, coming from, say, the Smash Armageddon, right? Like, I mean, Dr. Disrespect, while he has done terrible things, he has never been alleged to do, things that other notable figures have gotten way less flack for, obviously. So I'm not trying to cut this guy any slack whatsoever. I personally don't really like him. But my question is there redemption for Dr. Disrespect? Can he come back and, be a positive figure?
It's so I've been very vocal on cancel culture, or maybe I guess it's only cancel culture if you get canceled.
Asif isn't buying it.
Holding a person accountable culture. Let's start there. And then if it evolves, then it's cancel culture. But I think there are some acts, your acts, and then, what you say after you get called out, how you get called out, your response, that all plays into if you're going to come back into the community's favor. I think there is one big thing that a lot of these guys have that helped them back into the community. Of course, that's their clout, their influence, their follower account, whatever. I think for some people there is redemption. But redemption doesn't always come in the form of, hey, you know what? You get to come back into the community with open arms. Sometimes it's just, hey, you know what? I forgive you, but this isn't a thing anymore. I believe in patterns and not apologies. So, you are sorry, but you need to go over there. For some of these guys, they can consistently keep crossing multiverses and coming back into the damn community. I think filming people in the bathroom is kind of weird. I would let him come back from or he would have to spend a lot of time away. I don't know.
I feel like we had to look at what this is. This isn't $100,000 to charity or a situation. Like, this is a situation where he's putting on an event he's getting promotion for that's going to bring in a lot of people as well who are, going to be involved. But at the end of the day, his name's on it. So he's benefiting from the situation. So
I'm pretty sure this is going to be on his YouTube channel, only his YouTube channel. It's not like this is going to be streamed anywhere else or it's part of a organization or anything. In fact, at the bottom of his video, there is a disclaimer that says that this tournament has no tie with Epic Games or anything, any official, branding or whatever representation whatsoever. Obviously, yet. So he's obviously doing this to build his channel and build his brand back up to what it used to be.
A brand that he's having to use YouTube for because he can't use Twitch.
Exactly. And Army of Techno says he never got canceled because Twitch just never told anyone why he was banned. And I have to agree with that a little bit.
I do too. There's something. There's some sort of something out there between Dr. Disrespect being canceled and then like him going from one platform to another, Twitch not talking about it, Slasher disappearing. Like there's just a big like something there. I don't know what it is, and I'm afraid to like really put on my investigation, top hat and coat and start digging because I'm afraid of what I might find. But I do think that there is something really weird that came of all of that. But again, it proves that for some people they think cancel culture doesn't exist. If I were to use anybody as an example, I would have to use Dr. Disrespect in gaming. Like he should be, but he's not. And it's very strange to see, but at least this is hands off from the company. So the company can be like, hey, turn the blind eye to this. He's doing his own thing. We're not involved. And he's on YouTube anyway. We don't even like that. So bye.
Yeah. It's a rough situation.
He still has his fans, and obviously his fans don't care about what he did, or they're the type of people who would go so as far as to laud what he did because they're toxic, terrible people, obviously, because he just cultivates that type of energy, and it's gross. It's very off-putting. I feel like it's unfortunate for Fortnite, right? Because Fortnite esports has had a very up and down, tumultuous kind of lifespan. It was at one point at the top of its game. It was considered a top tier esport. It had a World Cup that was, covered by every outlet, every video game, outlet covered the Fortnite World Cup. Everyone knew who Bugga's name was, the guy who, the kid who won it. He got to be on late night TV and everything because of it. And then it just crashed with the pandemic, just completely crashed.
Well, that too, but it's competitive viability. I feel like has always been in question. I know you've gone on record to express your love and admiration for Twitch rivals, which I know that Fortnite definitely has a very firm home there. I don't understand. Like, it's hard for me when I think of Fortnite. I think of and I shouldn't say this because again of the game I come from, but I think of this game and I'm like, this doesn't feel competitive. I mean, it is. We are competing versus each other, but it's the money and the backing and the personalities. But the game itself just does not. Well, it's not doing it for me.
I think like this mode feels more like is the situation if you get a no build mode or something like that going compared to like having someone building an entire mansion in front of you every time you get shot at. Like that's a whole different scenario.
Yeah, I mean, but this is like this kind of competition is not where it's going to be 100 people all signed up playing against each other. It's kind of this like eliminate. So basically, like you join and you just play in whatever lobby you get matched into, and your standings in that lobby are how you accumulate points and then win this overall tournament. Which I agree with Tilted at Work. It's not really a fair way of running a competition. It doesn't really prove who was the better player. It only proves who had the easier lobby. It's a much more even playing field to have people playing to have those 100 competitors all in the same lobby, all vying for the same prize, fighting each other. Obviously, that's how I would want to see it done.
I don't think he cares about that.
No, he doesn't. He just cares about the viewership. I just feel sad for Fortnite esports, right? That this is their savior, like this is it. This is how esports is
not the
coming
Messiah.
back. I mean,
I just feel like I feel like he's a smart man for putting together a scenario where you're going to have a bunch of people streaming their lobbies with his name in their bio, you know, for a tournament, and spreading his brand basically across YouTube and Twitch, since he can't do Twitch himself, for situations where it's not even in real competitive play. It's pretty ridiculous overall. But
I have a question real quick. Sorry, not to sidebar. Bryan, I'm looking at your beautiful face, but I can't help but notice your cat in the background. And this is like the most well-behaved, just sitting in one spot cat ever. Like, what are they looking at? Like, is there something that they're like? Is there something?
Lincoln is the one on the couch, and I believe he's watching the other one, Franklin, go about his business.
Got you. Yep. Okay. I'm just like, what is he? There's something else in the room, and he's like looking, and I just don't know what it is. And it's not Bryan. I mean.
Now he's just staring out the front door. Yeah.
Fair enough.
I thought he just turned his back on, not gonna disrespect when he saw him on screen and was like, "Nah, I'm good."
even the cats know they don't like you. If an animal don't like you, something's going on.
Absolutely. No. Bringing it back to this topic, though. That's my final take on it. Is that I weep for the state of Fortnite esports if this is where it's gone.
Yeah. Same. Hopefully we see some changes soon. We'll just make sure this can get done as efficiently as possible, and then we can forget about it forever.
All right, let's wipe our slate here. Army of Techno is not satisfied with the direction of the show with League, followed by Dr. Disrespect. And let's bring it in. Let's bring it into our final story of the day. Something that will hopefully make everyone feel a little bit better about themselves. Something a little more wholesome. And this one starts off actually terrible, but then there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Denny, how about you take this one away, because I feel like this one is close to your heart.
Oh yeah, I mean, for sure. There were some ridiculous but somewhat scary rumors going around about the future of a popular Street Fighter character who I've used in competitive play for multiple years. And Fei Long, is of course inspired by Bruce Lee. In which case, there was a composer who was involved with the previous Street Fighter music, with Street Fighter V, had made some statements about how he felt that that Fei Long wouldn't be available based on quote unquote friends from the Bruce Lee estate, saying that they weren't happy with Fei Long as a character, as representation of Bruce Lee. In current Street Fighter games and such. I was surprised to hear that, considering that Fei Long's been involved in multiple titles since Street Fighter 2. So it would be a bit confusing in that scenario that they would just start to get upset about that as we move into a new world of Street Fighter, or Street Fighter 6 and such.
Yeah, very very strange. So when I originally seen the article, I was a little disturbed, but maybe not disturbed. I was a little annoyed. I was just like, Bruce Lee, Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, crazy crackhead at the barbershop. Like, these are some of the most infamous fighters ever. When you see them, you're like, I know these people. Okay. Now, of course, their likeness is going to be used in a bunch of different genres of whatever. Mike Tyson's Punch Out. Mike Tyson and M Bison was the original name for Balrog, which was inspired from Mike Tyson. Yes, it's all tied together. It's just all there. But I do understand the importance of making sure that my likeness is used properly. I mean, it's not like Fei Long's the strongest character in the game, but we know where the inspiration comes from. And when looking at him, it's like, okay, I want to make sure that my likeness of Bruce Lee, the Bruce Lee estate, is he needs to be used and shown in his best sort of whatever, not in a comedic sort of format, blah, blah, blah. It felt very strange to pull the plug on it now, given all the spin-off Bruce Lee films are, and then the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood film where Bruce Lee was in that. And there's even been childlike versions of Bruce Lee that have shown up in popular media. And then when I seen this, I was like, damn, well, we lose Fei Long. Do we also lose martial law and Tekken? Do we lose? I mean, how far does this really go? Do we lose characters that just make Bruce Lee noise? Do we lose Maxi and Soul Calibur?
It was also the man who was making the allegations was saying
nobody tell him about Liu Kang.
situations where Bruce Lee was seen as comedic or being humorous were something that the Bruce Lee estate didn't want in their portrayals of people that are using the character in that way.
But there's a big history of him being comedic and funny as he's kicking your ass. That's what kills me.
Yeah.
Which is why a lot of us were confused. We were like, what do you mean? But
it's the swagger. It's the Bruce Lee swagger as he's like, doing the nose flick and he's like, beating you down and like, talking funny and pointing at you and pointing at himself and like that's the Bruce Lee thing. Like, and when you see it, you just know it. And it's like, wait, you want to get rid of that? I mean, there are little kids who weren't even old enough to whose parents at this age probably weren't even old enough to see Bruce Lee alive. I know my parents barely made the cut. And they know Bruce Lee, like how they know Michael Jackson, like how they know like these famous people. And you want to get rid of that in video fighting games? I could see if he was in Fortnite, Brian's favorite game. I could see if he was in Fall Guys. But he's
also my favorite game.
That's right. But he's in fighting games. Like what?
It's dumb because Blake in chat brings up a good point. It's all considered parody, right? These characters are not going out of their way to say, or the companies are not going out of their way to say these characters are Bruce Lee. They are inspired by Bruce Lee, and they absolutely are Bruce Lee. Well, it's all parody of an archetype of Bruce Lee's character in movies, and that's a protected form of art. Like you can do that. You can you obviously cannot call him Bruce Lee. You probably couldn't call him Wayne Lee or whatever. Like you couldn't, use the name itself. You got to make it legally distinct. But these characters are obviously legally distinct enough to where I don't think it would hold up in court if the Bruce Lee estate wanted to try to take them down. But yes, thankfully...
You also have to keep in mind that he had his own martial arts style as well, which is why they also use the characters in that way. It's not just his personality as a performer, but also that he actually had full-on martial arts that he was teaching in his school. So bringing that into the gameplay is also part of that legacy. So that element is part of things as well that people just seem to,
And that's that type of fighting. You can't trademark, that type. Like if you have a character, that does that Bruce Lee style of fighting in your game, then the estate can't say, well, because he fights like that, you can't have him in there anymore. Obviously, just like anyone who like a capoeira guy couldn't be like, well, Eddie Gordo can't be in Tekken anymore because it doesn't portray the style correctly. Whatever. Yeah, it's Brucifer Leaford. Yes.
Sorry, I didn't know. I like 50 Cent's long. Like his real name is 50th Century. Like I was like, it got to be something like that. But I think so. Bruce Lee's fighting style was a mixture of a bunch of other ones. Like I guess most fighting styles are. I guess it's all the form of martial arts. But his, excuse me. Sorry, I had some eggs before we got on the show. I needed to eat. Jeet Kune Do is the name of it. And the way he fights, the way he moves, we see a lot of fighting games. Even Mario, like Mario's idle stance and smash, like that's where that comes from. It's the thing. Same with in Tekken, I believe up until Forest Law and Martial Law were in the same game. Both had the same fighting stance, but it's a little different now. But it's still Bruce Lee. And so I'm wondering if you took that to court, is Jeet Kune Do patented by Bruce Lee? Like, is that his? So like I can say when I see like the 2-finger touch death thing or like I'm doing a push-up with my finger. Can I patent that?
That would go against the kind of spirit of martial arts, though. Like, in that case, I don't think that would be something that would patent in that way. Like, as far as like his likeness, sure, or the style, but as far as wanting the legacy of the actual martial art to live on, I don't think that's a situation where anyone would have any legal ground to stand on.
Because the martial law, like he had, like you play Tekken, like he has the stomp and the the noise and everything. He has all the mannerisms. I'm like, well, we're mad about Fei Long. Like I would imagine martial law would be.
Well, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves because while we were originally upset about the scenario, as you can see, Bruce Lee's estate did come out and make some statements here as well, saying they have no idea what this man is talking about because they have already said that they've never made any comments or any in the scenario that are confirm anything that this man has said about the character or Fei Long in the future of Street Fighter. So that thankfully that bubble has been burst by the Bruce Lee estate themselves.
Yes, very thankfully, because it's just this is the only part of this that makes sense. This comment from the Bruce Lee estate is the part that makes sense because that original rumor just made absolute no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, it was a very, and of any media out there, fighting games too, like that's where Bruce Lee's legacy, I feel like, outside of films, depending on how you weigh the two in the Venn diagram, I would say in the fighting games is where his legacy is really starting to move forward. Like when kids pick up Tekken or when they pick up Street Fighter or whatever, they're going to see this character and they're going to be like, what's his deal? What's up with all and the fancy movies? Like, well, let me sit down, Sonny. Let me teach you about this good guy named Bruce Lee and how none of your favorite people could ever whoop his ass.
I could absolutely see a day where there are kids who grow to appreciate Bruce Lee and his style of fighting through picking up fighting games rather than through seeing him in movies, for sure.
Yeah, it's not even just movies. I mean, there's stuff like Cowboy Bebop. You got Spike. You got all these characters out there that are clearly inspired by Bruce Lee in their own way, and also that style. So I think that there's definitely still a relationship between Street Fighter and Fei Long, and I'm hoping to see him in 6. I missed him in 5. I think bring back the Rekkas.
I would almost go as far to say too, Michael Jackson's leg kick, the pants, the leg kick, and the noises. I'm fairly certain that inspiration was borrowed from a combination of Bruce Lee, John Travolta, which he did watch quite a bit of, like the hair and the big jacket and the pants, and the dance moves, all of that. Like I would go as far to say that there's some inspiration and crossover there too. So yeah, Bruce Lee is just way too influential to. No, this can't be real. I mean, that would be a very fucked up play if they actually did that.
Well, thankfully, we don't have to worry about that. And Bruce Lee's likeness, well, not likeness, but the archetype, if you will, of the Bruce Lee Jeet Kune Do martial art master will survive in fighting games for sure. I think that's going to do it, though, because I think it's time. Guys, is it time that we move on from esports into that other thing we talk about on a weekly basis? The sauce talk, I believe. Yes. That will wrap up our esports news of the day. However, our first sauce talk kind of ties the two together a little bit. So let's just let's break into that first one. Yeah. It looks like Esports Arena, no stranger to partnering, with food and beverage companies. They have their partnerships with Cup of Noodles, Soylent, the nutrient sludge that people eat.
That's what they're eating on the Matrix when they're on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Soylent, yep. Gushers and more. They're now partnering with Tyson Chicken. That's right. You can get your competitive tendies over at the Esports Arena with their partnership with Tyson. So it looks like it's their official Apex Legends Season 5 partnership here. Yes, so yeah, cool. I don't know. What do you guys think? Sure.
I like how there's like 3 hashtags, instantly. Team Tyson, Team Anytizers, Team State Fair. Like they are hyping this up.
Esports Arena, for those of us who've been there, they have all their food partnerships have gone over pretty well with me. Wasn't the biggest fan of Soylent. Obviously, I don't think most people were. Like, it makes sense for why it exists, but when I'm hungry, I'm hungry. I don't want to drink something when I'm hungry. I don't care if it's a meal supplement or not. Everybody, we've all eaten Cup of Noodles. We all have eaten Gushers. These are very big companies they partner with. But there's the Tyson Chicken thing I actually kind of like because I've had some of my best meals in esports at ESA, particularly when ESA was in charge of their location in Vegas. Before it became HyperX Esports Arena, it was just regular Esports Arena owned by ESA. And I had some of the best mochi I've ever had, some of the strongest drinks I've ever had. I don't know if I should be bragging about that, but I've also had some of the best poke I've ever had too. So, I mean, I don't know if it's different chefs now or how it's going to get worked and prepared, but if they can kind of capture that same magic from the Vegas days and do something cool with this chicken, I'll be in Vegas soon. I'm kind of with it.
Now you know that these are about to be bags of frozen chicken strips that are sitting in a deep freezer in the back of the venue.
I was just about to say, Denny's got it, dude. This is gonna be some frozen, spongy ass Tyson nuggets.
I wish gamers ate better too. Like, not for the sake of eating better and being healthy, but just like the narrative too. Like chicken strips. I mean, this is like traditional convention.
Yeah, this
I'm
is
stuck in a convention center for 3 days. I got to eat chicken strips and hot dogs. I'm just like, this isn't.
I'm sorry, this is too on the nose for me. This is not helping forward the stereotype of the competitive gamer by any means. Being the guy in his basement shouting at his mom for tendies. Like, come on, this is only solidifying that. We need to move on. Gamers do not just eat Tyson frozen nuggets.
That's true. I definitely don't.
They're gonna offer you different flavors. You get your buffalo or your barbecue.
Well, that's what the anytizers are for, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't even know they did
little
other
variety
stuff too. What is like any type? I mean, I
don't know.
If esports is collabing with food companies, I'm like, cool. I guess it's a step in the right direction. But
this is just capitalism. This is just pure capitalism.
I mean, are they going to sponsor the tourneys directly? Or is it going to be like sponsored by Tyson though? We're going to get some Tyson, guilty gear.
Well, we did that for Cup of News. Like, they gave us hats and stuff. So I would imagine they're going to follow a similar thing. Look, ESA, Esports Arena, is a wonderful organization. They need a little help, and I mean this as respectfully as possible. They just need a little help in like the sauce department, not whatever. It just feels too, like you said, feels too on the nose. It feels too much like esports and chicken strips and gaming in a big stadium. Like, it's cool, but I'm like, it's missing that salt bay. It's missing something. And chicken strips is not what's going to take it to that level. I'm sure they got something cooking, but it shouldn't be them chicken strips.
Yeah, it's nuggets. That's what they have cooking.
They should have built a franchise. Like, they should do a partnership with like a Nando's or something. Like Atlanta.
There you go. Yeah,
build a Nando's in there, a little franchise, just in the venue.
Nando's is good. The chicken's a little bony, but Nando's is good.
But you have options though. You got rice, you got corn, you got vegetables.
True.
Like actual.
At least the chicken at Nando's nutrients. Is actually chicken and not whatever you're going to get from Tyson.
Surface Sam is always in line for some cheeky Nando's. Let's move on from one Tyson to another Tyson though, because I really don't have anything else. I have no more puns for this esports arena thing left. I got nothing. We got Mike Tyson, however, partnering with Jones Soda. No, not Tyson Clone Chicken. We got Mike Tyson partnering with Jones Soda to provide a nootropic supplement drink. What does that even mean?
That sounds
It does sound fancy. We got Tiger's Blood, Tyson's something, Tyson's Punch. Yeah, so Tyson's Punch and Tiger's Blood, nootropic supplement drinks.
Tiger's Blood.
Yeah. I mean, why? So this is like a dietary supplement. I need to do some research because I don't know why you would want to drink this stuff.
So where I'm from in Nebraska, we grew up with Jones. Like, they have a whole bunch of those, and I've had them for years. They're pretty good. I try not to drink as much pop anymore, but they're pretty good. I like the tongue-in-cheeky, the funny kind of marketing, the Tiger Blood, the punch. As Mike Tyson has that famous quote, everybody has a plan to get punched in the face, which is true. All right. This just seems odd. And I'm like, I can't tell who's hurting more here. I don't know if it's Jones that needs the help or if it's Mike Tyson, but I do like the pictures, though. There's the one picture of him looking at the pigeon or kissing the pigeon, or he's doing something here. And I like that, but it's just a very strange. I mean, I say all this, but I'm probably going to have a bunch. I'm going to drink some just to see what it's talking about. But it is a very strange relationship.
It is. I'm going to read a little description they got here. We got on the page. It says, inspired by Mike Tyson's personal journey in pursuit of optimal mental health through the use of natural fungi and plant-based...
Optimal mental health!
Optimal mental health through
I don't know if that's the word I would use to describe Mike Tyson.
Natural fungi and plant-based solutions. Jones Soda worked closely with Wasenya's science team to create a distinct line of supplements designed to promote focus, clarity, and support brain health. There's a big ass star under the asterisk saying these statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration.
I just feel like the term optimal food use implies that there is, or not food use, but optimal brain power or whatever implies that there is not optimal brain functionality and mental health awareness. It's a very strange sentence. It kind of threw me off, but it's just very weird. Then the Food and Drug Administration are just like anything Mike Tyson's a part of, we're not a part of. We don't know what the fuck is going on.
We here at Shacknews love Mike Tyson, actually.
I just need to see some pictures of Mike Tyson drinking with him. Yeah, I need to see Mike Tyson drinking this regularly.
I love the picture of him with his pigeon, actually. Look at the love.
Yeah, I mean, the pigeon is good, but
he has for that pigeon. Find someone who looks at you the way that Mike Tyson looks at his pigeon.
I mean, honestly, it's true. I think Mike Tyson's a cool guy. You know, he has that Every Little Step I Take video with himself and Wayne Brady that they did a couple years ago together. Very funny video, very cool. It's nice to see him in different environments where he's not absolutely murdering somebody, which is pretty goddamn good at that. But all jokes aside, this is just a very strange marketing campaign. I mean, I think as an athlete, it makes sense for you to work with supplement companies or, you know, Gatorade, Powerade, whatever. It's just like optimal mental health. I'm just like, is there a not optimal mental health thing? Like, it's very strange. It almost feels like it's just kind of thrown together a type of like, hey, it's Mike Tyson and he beats people up. Don't you want to?
Well, this is like, I mean, it's kind of like a sort of like a new style, like health fad kind of thing, right? Like, you know how like everyone was taking ginseng back in the day, and then everyone was taking like fish oil back in the day, and then everyone's taking like whatever, you know? So I guess nootropics are kind of, or nootropics are kind of, you know, sort of a newer development in mental health supplements. And it is a lot of vitamin B for sure. I was like, is it just like vitamin B? It is a lot of vitamin B. So yeah, vitamin B, man, it's just always good for you. Just never get enough of it.
I mean, I'm just hoping that it's a situation where like he's actually using this stuff, and it's not a situation where someone in his management team said this would be a good deal for you, and then that was the end of that conversation. And they just got some pictures, you know, put Tyson's name on it, and then that's it. Because my man's involved in a lot of different stuff, so I hope it's actually a product that he supports, that he uses. Otherwise, it's like this is just a situation where he might be being taken advantage of.
I mean, it's $22 for a 4-pack, so you better get some mental acuity out of this, because that's pricey. You want to be able to fight like Mike Tyson after getting this?
I mean, if you're drinking Tiger's blood directly, I mean, you're not getting your cigar on, then sure.
Look, if I have to, I will do it if I have to, you know. But yeah, very strange, but also kind of not strange at the same time, because again, it's an athlete and
I think Asif is right. Army of Techno in chat saying that he's probably just securing a bag, and of course, I mean, why not, right? It, you know, kind of ties in with his thing. He's an athlete. He's all about, you know, strong mental health. He's definitely into interesting product promotion as well. So yeah, this is a natural fit, I think, for Mike Tyson. It's just not something that I'm definitely too familiar with, the whole the nootropic thing. I didn't realize that people were getting, you know, doing mushroom extracts and not tripping off of it. I guess I'm behind the times.
Yeah. Can I tell you something that I'm tripping on though, Brian?
Okay.
Can I tell you something?
Please.
Look, this next one here. Dolly Parton and Taco Bell come together. Taco Bell the musical. Now look, Dolly Parton is no stranger to the musical format. I believe she's in 1 or 2 on Broadway, or if it's not on Broadway, is working on its revival right now. She still got it. I don't know how old Dolly Parton is these days, but you know what I'm saying? She looks great. She can still sing. And honestly, you got life in you. You probably got a spot on stage in most parts of the world. Dolly Parton. But we covered Taco Bell a couple weeks ago. They brought back the Mexican pizza, which I don't.
It's only been gone for like half a year. It's been gone for like 6 months.
I know. And to be honest, I don't really care what Taco Bell does, because I like, you know, more traditional taco spots, not spots that use dog food as the meat. But Dolly Parton is a part of this Taco Bell the musical, and this is another musical like the Bridgerton musical and like the Ratatouille musical that kind of got sparked from TikTok. Of course, the original campaign.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. Because I kind of feel the same too. When I read this morning, I was just like, all right. But it's another musical that got started off of TikTok. They originally used Doja Cat as the marketing to get this thing back off the ground, to bring back something that didn't need to be brought back. What needed to be brought back is the Taco Bell Beefy Crunch Burrito, the musical. But that's a story for another day.
I mean, it is
Dolly Parton's a part of this
choice.
thing, and I guess the story is about a fight, a long, hard, passionate battle to bring back the Mexican pizza. And I'm like, well, what the fuck? Like, that's all I could really say to that. Fellas, what do you think about this? The Taco Bell, the musical.
Okay, so first of all, this is like it's Taco Bell Mexican Pizza, the musical. And it's all inspired from Doja Cat's minute and a half song that she made on TikTok about the Mexican pizza and her love for it. Which inspired Taco Bell to bring back the Mexican pizza, even though it hadn't really been gone for that long. So yeah, I guarantee that this Dolly Parton, whatever, Taco Bell, the Mexican pizza, the musical, whatever, is just going to be Dolly Parton doing a cover of this one TikTok song, and it's also going to be on TikTok, and that's it. That's it. That's all it's gonna be.
That's what I originally thought, but then I thought back to the other TikTok fan musicals, and I really see them like casting people and really taking like almost a joke that's gone too far. Like IHOP and IHOP. Remember, that was just like, why? Or like when Wendy's dropped the mixtape dissing McDonald's. It's like, this has just gone too far. And like they're saying in the chat, the simulation is broken. There's nothing we can do. There's a billion timelines.
I'm just reading the lyrics on the screen for this song. And I'm very confused about what's going. They're gonna put this on. They're gonna put this together as an actual track because.
This is going to be broadcast on the TikTok streaming service.
I'm just upset that they didn't ask me to write this. I could have wrote this, but I'm sure they got better, Broadway composers or maybe off.
I got beans. I need meat. I need a shell with the sauce and the cheese. Yo,
fire!
Taking a Lin-Manuel Miranda approach. It's like that's some Hamilton right there.
Wow. Well, I mean, a lot of people can afford Taco Bell, so maybe they're like, you know what, we're gonna reach a different generation here.
I can't believe Taco Bell would okay it with the line, "This ain't even Mexican food" in the song. Like they're gonna let that slip through.
I mean, it's Doja Cat though.
Yeah, well, Doja Cat is already.
She got Grammys.
She got Grammys, and she's also said some crazy shit in the past too in that ballpark. So I'm sure, like, hey, whatever, nobody cares if she says it. She's fucking Doja Cat, but yeah, this is very strange. Blake and Asif, in the chat are very much in the camp of believing the simulation is broken, and I believe it is. I believe somewhere I'm plugged in to a toaster or an old Game Boy in a different world somewhere, and I can tell it's crashing because this is getting into my.
They're injecting Soylent into your veins right now.
They are. The machines got me. They got me, man. This is just weird. I'm excited as a musical enthusiast. I am definitely going to listen to this. I'm going to pick apart and get nitpicky with the orchestration and the majors and the minor keys and blah blah blah. But TikTok has a very interesting hold on people that they can just get this type of stuff produced. It's weird.
Well, Rod, you only have to wait 10 days because it's going to premiere. That's right, premiere on TikTok on May 26th at 8 p.m. I don't know. Is it going to be like on the front page? Like, I don't know.
I got 30 followers on TikTok in one video. I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm on there to laugh.
I'm looking at the stats of the video, and it got 8.4 million likes.
Yeah,
161,000 comments and 227,000 shares. So clearly, Taco Bell was like, "Look, this is probably more than we've got on any of these or any commercial that we've put on YouTube in the last 6 years on this TikTok."
Oh yeah, Doja Cat better be getting some money for this.
Oh, she got to be getting some bank. Gonna have her dancing around with like a giant taco.
Asif, all those TikTok users are just as real as the Twitter accounts that they also hold.
Yeah, I would also pay to watch Doja Cat dance around in taco suits. I'd pay for that. So if nothing else, I can watch this musical on mute. if the music's not good.
There you go. But it's going to be Dolly Parton. I don't think Doja Cat is going to have any part with this because it's going to be. I guess Dolly Parton is like the big get for this whole thing. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Good for Dolly Parton though. Good for her for also getting some of that Taco Bell bag.
Yeah. Good for her.
Let's move on to our last Sauce Talk story, though, about an entire group or nation of people who will not be getting that bag. They will not be getting that bag of McDonald's anymore. Looks like Mickey D's has now completed the exit of their company operations in Russia after more than 30 years of greasy capitalism spreading across the across Russia. Yeah, they're done. They're done. Pulling out. It's over.
Yeah, they said
Gone.
all the years of heart failure and obesity and all types of crazy stuff that we have done to people, which is fine. You know, I like if I were to do any of those things, I would much prefer to do it with McDonald's. The food tastes dangerously good. But if all the years of damage that they have done to not just the American people, but people all over, because they will cater their menu to whatever region of the world that they're in. So I'm sure they have very greasy Russian options. They draw the line here. And I would imagine this has to do with, you know, the Russian invasion in the Ukraine. Okay. I'm like, but this is what did it. So all the years of just hurting people with your greasy, delicious fries, that wasn't it. It was like we wanted to revamp the menu. No, we didn't want to do any of that. We're pulling out. I mean, I'm here for it. I'm glad they're taking a stance, but it's just weird.
I don't know. Like, yeah, it's weird to. I mean, not weird to me. Obviously, it's McDonald's corporation following suit with a lot of other corporations taking a stance against Russia and their invasion of Ukraine, which they should. You know, there should be consequences for these things. However, yeah, like taking the McDonald's away from the people, man,
they know how to hurt you. Like
harsh.
McDonald's is a big deal. You taking McDonald's out, like.
I mean, but
people who live in little towns
is Putin eating McDonald's right now, or is this the the townspeople who are getting them nugget meals?
Yeah, I have no idea.
This is, I mean,
nobody's getting nugget meals now.
Nobody. I couldn't even imagine like trying to collect Pokemon cards, and there's in Russia, you know, when they were doing the 25th anniversary stuff. Like, damn it, there's no goddamn McDonald's here. What am I gonna do to get my Pokemon cards now? But yeah, this is. I mean, I like the fact that they're taking a stance. You know, somebody has to do it. Somebody needs to do it. McDonald's is a very big company. I mean, I would imagine they're probably the leading fast food chain on the planet.
That's another point. That's 60,000 jobs in the country that are now gone. That's 60,000 people that are now out of work.
Yeah.
Damn.
Steve.
That's fucked. Loving it.
See, yeah, that's the one thing about all of these economic sanctions I get, right? Like to make it difficult for the government to do business is something that they should do. But to take goods and services away from average citizens who a lot of them don't agree with their own, regime's actions. Like they don't agree with what Putin's doing. To take stuff away from them, I don't know. Like I just feel like is it the right thing to do?
I don't know. Sometimes the solution is, I don't know. It's not worse than the initial problem, but it has some different effects and damages, to the people involved. And I mean, obviously, taking away McDonald's and what McDonald's has done for people versus like what went on in Ukraine or not, you can't even weigh those two things, the same. But what you want from the people of Russia and what the stand you want them to take too. When you take away jobs, it's like,
yeah,
well, it's hard to protest if I don't have money for signs. It's hard to protest if I don't have money for internet so I can stay active online. It's like, I get it, but I feel like there could have been a better way to go about this. But maybe I don't want to say it's going to be, but what if this was the thing that was just like, all right, man, it's gone too far. McDonald's is leaving. The simulation's already crashing. All right, we got a Taco Bell, the musical, squirrel meat wings at Taco Bell. What if McDonald's was the thing to end this? Like, it'd be fucking crazy.
Sam does bring up a good point, though, that I think this is more about the tax money that the government would be receiving from these corporations as a whole, which is a lot of money when you think about all of their operating profit that they take in on a yearly basis in this one country, and how much percentage of that goes directly into the government's pockets via taxes. Yeah, that is actually a big deal. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But at the same time, while it does hurt the government's bottom line, it unfortunately hurts everyone in the process, right? It hurts the company themselves. The company McDonald's takes a hit of anywhere from 1.2 to 1.4 billion dollars by ceasing operations in that country, even though their shares were barely affected by the news. Like, oh, we're going to lose $1.5 billion. It's fine.
It's kind of like a similar situation to kind of what Disney was getting into with how they didn't release Doctor Strange in China because they were against certain decisions in the movie and such. That's a huge market, but at the end of the day, it's like you got to stand for something.
Yeah, kind of like for instance, speaking out against Halo. I'm kidding. We're not going to do that again. Sorry.
But no, it would be nice if we could have world peace and sweet and sour sauce for everyone. But in this day and age, I guess the way you punish dictator-run countries for performing heinous acts is by cutting out their bottom line. We can't just invade Russia and start World War III or whatever. Like, that's what everyone's afraid of. So you cut out their money. But by doing so, money obviously has an obvious trickle-down effect. So, yeah, like you not only hurt the government, but you hurt the people. So, yeah, there's going to be – is there now like a black market McDonald's? Like, is there a McDonald's black market in Russia?
Smuggling in Big Macs? Like,
yeah.
You got a real-life Hamburglar? And he's
yes.
That would be ridiculous.
That's the new hotness. Anyway, if you're looking into getting into illegal smuggling, smuggling McDonald's into Russia could be profitable.
I mean, if you smuggle it across country lines,
please, nobody listen to me.
The food would last. It goes on record to show that McDonald's fries last for fucking ever. So I mean, you could take it from one end of the whatever to the other.
This sounds like something that's going to be on Robot Chicken, and there's going to be a sketch of this in a couple weeks.
There's room. There's runway there. There's runway there for sure. Let's wrap up Sauce Talk, though. Yeah, we got to get done with this. I believe Steve Tendo is waiting. But first, we got to get into our own esport here at Shacknews. What if McDonald's sent Grimace and the Hamburglar on a hit with the Fry Guys hit squad? There we go. Yeah, there's material to work with for sure.
Don't give ideas. It's coming.
All right, but yeah, that'll wrap up the Sauce Talk for the day. Great Sauce Talk topics, of course. Thank you very much for those. But yeah, let's cap it off with our Cortex winner of the week, the Shack Pets Showdown. And it's business as usual, everybody. It's business as usual. 8 Mikey taking the lead for the week. Mad Dog _ Delphi97 winning Chatty. But it was a very close race. Our very own Winged Hussar was just like, what, 1,000 points away? Like less than 1,000. Less than 1,000 points away. Yeah, I mean, which is very close. It was a Zerg rush on Friday and Saturday to get it done there. So congratulations to everybody on the list. Obviously, you can see we have our own Shacknews staff well represented within that top 20, of course, as usual. And then we have our power user, 8 Mikey, just taking it.
Pretty impressive stuff.
Goddamn monster. He's a madman.
The power of Shack Pets.
Yeah, if Winged Hussar, our very own Morgan Schaefer, if they can get within just a hair's breadth of topping 8 Mikey, then it can be done. It's been shown that it can be done. It is not an impossible feat. It is very doable. All you have to do is download Shack Pets. And what do you have to pay to download Shack Pets? Nothing.
Nada.
Absolutely nothing. You just got to go to the iOS App Store or the Google Play Store, get yourself searching Shack Pets, download it, create an account if you don't have one already. And then that is all you really need to get started. You don't even have to upload pictures of pets. You can scroll through the feed. You can vote on challenges. You can enjoy all of the wonderful, calming pet pictures to give you a nice respite during your day. And if you want to compete, though, you can upload pictures of your pets, upload pictures of your family's pets, fill out their bio, and start challenging people and start winning.
It's as simple as 1, 2, 3, y'all. You could be a champion like the rest of them. All you gotta do is just download it. It's right there. You got a cute pet, do it.
Yeah, and even if you don't, you can still, enjoy just looking at other people's pets. It's a nice, chill way to end the day. After a long work day, relax a little bit, grab yourself a little drink, scroll a little bit, do some swipes in.
Scrolling and swiping. That's what it's all about. But this is the good kind of scrolling and swiping. No doom scrolling, no anxious swiping. It's just all good times over here. But yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up for the day, everybody. That is episode 183.
Yes, sir.
132. I mean, what am I? Sorry, I was looking at another number. Sorry, I just dyslexic. Like 180. No, couldn't be. No, 130. That is episode 132 in the books. All done. Huge show, great show. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Thank you to Rodney Conyers Jr. for being an excellent co-host, my partner in crime. Thank you to Denny Von Doom, Dennis White, for providing awesome technical direction and just another great voice to the show. It's really great to have you, and I look forward to working with you in the weeks to come.
Yeah, it was a great time. I'm going to have nightmares about these chicken tenders.
That's facts. That's facts. Well,
all right.
You already know what to do. Follow us, of course, on Twitter. Follow us on social media. Shacknews Media. Of course, head over to YouTube. Subscribe. You can't stress enough. We got 2 channels, okay? Podcast stuff, reviews, all types of cool content for you to take in, okay? Not like mindless TikTok content. This content actually has some real substance to it. All right. Also, head over to our website. That's where the sausage gets made. Or I guess in this case, that's where the chicken tenders get made. Head on over there. See how it all unfolds. Tons of cool articles. I did one today. I wrote one. I don't write very often, but today I got a wild hair and I was like, I'm going to fucking write something. I'm going to feel like a real Shacknews staff member. And I was like, I'm doing it. This is it. This is my time. And it was a really good article. It went over really well. So be sure to go over there and check that out and give it a good read. Download Shack Pets. You can be a champion too. Or if you don't want to be a champion, you can just look at cool pet pictures like we talked about before. Friends, until next time, remember, do it for Shacknews. If it ain't Shack, guess fucking what? It's whack.
It's whack.
Right. It's whack. All right.
Yes, sir.
We'll see y'all next time.
All right, you guys are good.